I'm Dale Cherry, and this is the Restricted Research Expenditures Advisory Committee. And I got just a couple of staff people I want to introduce. We've got Stacy Silverman, she's the Director of Academic Research and Grant Programs. Stacy, raise your hand.
Hello. I'd stand up, but raising my hand will get me about as high. I'm not that tall.
We've got a few other staff members in here, too. Is there anyone from the coordinating board, from the finance area? Dean Keaton is... He might join us later. And to the right of Stacy, we've got Gregor Stevenson. He is the Assistant Commissioner for Academic Affairs and Research.
I'm glad he remembered.
And I think he wanted to say a few words.
I really just wanted to thank you all for taking time out on a Friday in the middle of a nice, cool front in Austin to come down and help us work through the issues on the restricted research dollars and the calculations that we need to make for the formula funding. The time that you take certainly makes our jobs a lot easier, and we do appreciate the input and the advice that you provide for us. And we do take this part of the issue very seriously. We realize that it has a significant impact on the institutions and the way that they calculate what their benefit is going to be from those restricted research dollars and from the state funding. So I just wanted to take the chance to thank you all for the time that you put into it and for giving us your advice and help. So thank you very much. And I'm going to duck out and head to another meeting. But thank you all.
So the Research Development Fund, we've got the law and the rules, and they give us a way to apportion out the RDF appropriation. And this biennium, that was a little over $80 million again. It was $80 million the biennium before. And those funds, of course, are to be used for research capacity and infrastructure. And if you look at the appropriation that they just made for 10 and 11, and even the biennium before, you calculate the restricted research expenditures at 3-year average. That's exactly what they're using. They're using the work that we do here to make that appropriation, that apportionment. Now, just real quick, how that's carried out. A transparency or a list of awards is placed on our website that you send us, and it's according to our standards and accounting methods. And this group reviews those awards in July and makes a determination on those awards that are flagged with an annual award amount of $250,000 or more. And then in October, you send us a restricted research expenditures figure, and then that's what we report to the LBB. And then when they figure out the appropriation, they're going to use the most current 3 years to get the 3-year average, and that's their basis for making the appropriation. So, I need to find out, is there anyone on the phone out there? Okay. So, can someone check to make sure that number's been dialed into?
I think they're working on it right now.
All right.
Yeah.
And are we broadcasting this?
Yes.
Okay. Just so you all know that you are live from Austin, Texas. right on the internet. So, and one more piece of information. We have a sign-in sheet circulating, so if you'll go ahead and make sure you fill that out, just so we have a record of attendance, that would be great.
While we're waiting for them to get the phones up, could we just go around the room and do introductions? We can start,
Here, I'll start.
Start here with Stacy.
I'm Stacy Silverman. I met many of you last year, and I do want to extend my thanks and appreciation to you for being here today. Last year, I was the interim director for academic research and grant programs. Had to think a little bit about what my title is. And now I'm officially the director of that in that position. So I'm happy to be here and be of service to you all. We'll be talking a little bit today, after we do the actual work of the committee, about some changes that are coming forward. And I'll make sure that you all have access to get us any input that you need to about any changes that we make. Specifically, we've been asked to do a study of restricted research expenditures, and we want your input on that as we move forward with that process. So that's who I am, and feel free to call me, email me with any questions, and I'll just send them on to Dale, who knows all the answers anyway.
I'm Sandra Garcia. I'm the Director of Office of Research and Sponsored Programs at Texas A&M Kingsville.
Wendy Lawrence Fowler, Vice Provost for Research, University of Texas Pan American.
Manuela Doki, Associate Director of Research and Compliance Officer, University of Texas, El Paso.
Jason Richter with the Office of Sponsored Projects, University of Texas at also.
University
UT Permian Basin. Texas A&M University. Bill?
Welcome, we're glad you're here.
Hi. We're just going around the room right now, making a few introductions, and we'll get to you folks that are on the phone here in just a little while, okay?
All right.
Mayor, Coordinating Board Program Director.
Donna Carlin, Senior Program Director.
I don't know where that, do you know where it's?
Reinhard Cornelius. Ernest Hawkins.
BJ.
Hi, PJ Byron.
I'm Kathleen Harris. I'm Texas Tech University.
Jerry Darden, Texas Tech University.
Mike Blanda, Texas State University.
Joanne Engelbrecht, Texas Women's University.
Harvey Canal, Texas A&M University, Corpus Christi.
Jeremy Forsberg, UT Arlington, Assistant Vice President for Research.
Christy Lemon, University.
Paul Myers, University of Minnesota, Clear Lake.
And back in the...
Grace Zapata with the Council of Public University Presidents and Chancellors.
Welcome. And now folks who have called in. Anyone else out there? We do. Okay.
We got anyone from Angelo State?
Yes, Katie Plum from Angelo State.
Katie Plum. Hi, Katie. How about Lamar?
Yeah, Lamar's here, Stuart Wright.
Hi, Stuart. Midwestern State. Patty Hamilton, you out there?
From Midwestern.
Sam Houston State.
Jerry Cook and Dan Davis from Sam Houston State.
Hi there.
Stephen F. Austin. Stephen F. Austin?
Yes, Carrie Brown from Stephen F. Austin.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi.
Sol Ross? Sol Ross. How about Tarleton?
Tarleton is here. Ann Powlick for Burke Little.
Okay. What was that last name, Ann?
Powlick, P-A-W-L-A-K. I'm in the Office of Sponsored Projects.
A&M at Galveston.
Tammy Holiday, hi.
Hi, Tammy. Texas A&M International. A&M International. A&M Commerce.
Yes, Natalie Henderson and Gil Nizer for Dr. Alan Headley.
Henderson and who else?
Gil Nizer for Dr. Alan Headley.
A&M Texarkana. A&M Texarkana. Texas Southern.
Yes, good morning. This is Shola Iwula from Texas Southern University.
Hi there, good morning. University of Houston Downtown. Hi there, new caller.
Hi, this is Sandy Brown.
Where are you from? What institution?
Sandy?
Sandy Brown.
Oh, Sandy Brown, A&M System.
Yes, that's correct.
Sorry. University of Downtown? University of Houston Downtown? University of Houston Victoria. UT Brownsville?
Yes, Luis Colón, and Susan Acevedo, Peilin, Armando Salinas from sponsor programs, Nancy Veronica Vera from the Office of VP of Research.
UT Dallas?
Michelle Wilson.
Michelle Wilson, okay. UT San Antonio?
Good morning, Noe Saldana.
UT Tyler? UT Tyler? UT Permian Basin?
Hi, Karen Smith and Roxy Chavarria.
Who was the second person?
Roxy Chavarria.
West Texas A&M?
Yes, Donna Diot.
Do we have someone who just called in? Any new callers in the last minute? Anyone not from an institution who called in? Okay, so we've taken roll. And we're going to proceed to Agenda Item 1, Review Restricted Research Expenditures for 2009. So we've got a request to start with UT Dallas. And I've got some support people back here helping me. And so what we're going to do here is, where you see the filter, and let's see, out there in phone land, everyone needs to be on the list of awards in a browser. Is everybody at that point?
Yep. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do with the filter, you want to choose something that's called restricted research, and in parentheses it's got a little question mark and the word questionable. And the first institution we're going to look at is UT Dallas, and of course fiscal year 2009.
Is that better?
Yes.
That's better.
Yes.
So the first award we're looking at is one from Doug Harris, National Chemical and Hazard Materials Reference and Planning Tool.
Want me to go ahead, Dale, or not?
Michelle,
Yes.
whenever you're ready, just...
Oh, okay.
So
the first thing I want to talk about in terms of this particular award is since I'm new to UT Dallas, is I guess that in the past this award was entitled E-Plan, and it was an award that's been on this list, I guess, the last 4 years, and has been shown as restricted research in the past. What's changed in this particular year is that the funding institution, or the funding agency has changed. Originally it was the Environmental Protection Agency, and now it's switched over to Department of Homeland Security. So the premise is identical, the agency, the funding source has changed basically, and it's developing a large database for tracking of hazardous chemicals across the country, and then that can be extrapolated into other types of environments for tracking of various reagents across the country.
any comments about this one?
Can you show us the CSDA?
BJ, can you open up that link right there? And then scroll down a little bit. We want to look at uses and restrictions.
Could you scroll up just a little bit so we can see the purpose there?
Let's see, down a little, let's see.
No, see the purpose, yeah, the objectives.
We want to see...
Objectives, yeah, the objectives.
It notes it's a demonstration project.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Looks like a lot of data collection to me.
Dale, I have a question.
Okay.
How is this different from, as far as research, collection of general purpose statistics? Is this collection of general purpose statistics? I guess that's what I would want to know.
That's the question, Michelle.
It does incorporate that concept. However, it's the design of the database that's the primary function of the project. Again, it's a funding source change, so it's driven more towards a particular purpose at this point, but the project all along has been the design and implementation of the system that has an ability to track materials and or reagents of any kind, and in this particular sense it's been kind of formulated towards more the Departmental Homeland Security concerns.
Right, and so how is that part of a specific R&D project?
The design of the database, the tracking database, its algorithms and database design.
Does it fall into the definition on page A4 of them that talks about demonstration projects?
I have a question. Does this award result in any, say, peer-reviewed research publication?
Yes, it does. Part of the process also that I'm reading through the abstract here is basically it's to develop a model. I'll read directly from it. Develop a model for full electronic reporting filing system and to develop an emergency system deployment, as well as the tracking of the materials. It has a whole compilation of things, and it's very much intended to be published.
Thank you.
I really didn't get from that description the publication in journals.
The challenge is that if the database doesn't already exist, it's very much of a challenge to determine the most appropriate structures to create, and it's the kind of thing that computer scientists do, is investigate how to best organize and explore so that the data can not only be stored but retrieved appropriately. Spoken by a computer scientist.
Yeah, I think I see some original research in this proposal, or in this project.
Yeah, I mean, I think coupled with the development of the model that was described, I think even though it's not explicit that publication would ensue, I think it would be implicit, like it said, the type of computer science work that's done in this type of area. So,
I concur.
Any more comments on this one?
Hey, Dale, this is Stuart Wright from Lamar. I don't really understand what the challenge is. I mean, it seems like it qualifies for restricted research. What's the nature of the challenge?
Stuart, this is Carrie. Not so much that as just clarification, because I think there's going to be other instances where we're talking about model database development.
Absolutely.
I just want clarification,
Absolutely.
so when those come up, we're consistent.
Okay.
So I think we've got consensus on this one. Is there anyone who needs to hear more on this?
Actually, and I really like that last point, because the purpose for us gathering is to continue to think about and define the definition of research so that we all sort of do the same thing. So it's appropriate to have this discussion.
Okay, so we're gonna say yes on restricted research on this one.
Yes.
And Michelle, James Murdoch?
Sure. This one is a National Science Foundation award, and it's entitled AOC, Publicly Driven Investment, Neighborhood Change, and Household Behavior. Out of the actual proposal description, it says the proposed research takes advantage of a unique opportunity to study a poor neighborhood in Dallas, Texas that will likely experience change within the next 5 years. The intellectual merit of the proposed research can be divided into 5 categories. They collect data via survey for geo-referenced measures of social capital, economic condition, and perceptions in the neighborhood, before and after publicly driven investment. Collect objective measures of neighborhood condition over 4 years, facilitating an analysis of the relationship between perceptions and common measures of neighborhood condition. Enroll a panel of residents in order to collect and explore relationships between experimental measures of preferences. Identify how mobility and preferences of the urban poor are influenced by public infrastructure. And finally, for the interest of previously mentioned goals, we test how neighborhood change affects relationships of interest. So basically, in completing that, they will then be publishing their results.
Okay, we're going to call this one a yes?
Seems like a
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Mary Urquhart?
Urquhart.
Urquhart.
Yes. This is a subcontract that we get from the University of Texas at Austin, from the Texas Education Agency. And this is part of a partial funding for a larger program called You Teach on campus. And in this particular case, this study, I will again read from the proposed background here. This study will address significant educational issues, primarily whether a university-based teacher preparation program, when successfully implemented, can increase the quality and quantity of secondary mathematics, science, and computer science teachers, and if so, can be replicated and brought to scale at a national level. The study proposes to address that need through the study of a You Teach program at the University of Texas at Austin and at selected replication sites, which would be us. The study will examine and document the program's ability to reach intended implementation benchmarks and outcomes of interest for program participants. A close examination will empirically test essential program components and their related outcomes, which in turn will help to ensure high-quality implementation of the program more widely and more rapidly at replication sites across the nation.
Any questions on this one?
No, Christy, I like what you said. This fits sponsored instruction includes.
Yes.
I can go back.
Yes. Hello?
Increase the volume at your end.
Okay.
Thank you.
There is a lot of noise coming. Okay, now it's better.
Does that help any?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Well, we also have one of those programs. And it is a replication, so we're using somebody else's model that was created to implement it. So I think we have to note how you...
Is someone pounding in the background?
Could you please speak in the mic?
Get your mic.
That'd be great.
Okay, I was saying that it's a replication of a model that we're also implementing at North Texas. And so I think you would have to determine how you're significantly improving upon that model or changing the model.
I'm sorry, I understood that they were evaluating the dissemination of the model. Maybe I heard wrong. Because I think they have additional funding to implement the model. This is...
Dale, this is Michelle. I am really struggling to hear the comments that are being made, and if a question's being posed to me, someone's going to have to reiterate it.
Okay, sure.
Yours was supporting in some ways. Was it supporting?
No, it's not. It's an instruction.
This is Miss Colon. We cannot hear anything.
All right, we're moving the mics closer to all the speakers right now so folks on the phone can hear a little bit better. Please let us know if you can hear better or if you have a difficult time hearing.
I think it's a part of the title where it's saying that it's a replication of another model, which is different from an evaluation project. So it may just be that the title is not significant or appropriate. I'd like to hear more objectives.
Michelle, I would agree with your statement. I don't think the title is representative of the project or the intent of the project. It's an evaluation of a large program that we have here on campus that is centered around basically improving teaching skills of teachers in and around the area, and this is basically an analysis of how that program is doing. So it's very much an intended research arm of that larger program and very much expected to be a publishable outcome.
Okay, so I think you're saying then it fits research under Instruction 2I, a curriculum development project, which says the primary purpose is testing an instructional or educational model through appropriate research methodology. So part of the evaluation is to test that model? Okay.
Sounds like research.
Sounds like research.
Okay, I think we got consensus on that one. We're going to call that one yes. Marjorie Zilke.
Yes. This project is actually a project funded by the U.S. Army currently, and it's flowing down through a group called VAE, who's basically just administering the contracts for the Army. This particular situation, this is a virtual reality system that is a big focus of the group that's being funded by this particular project. In this case, they're taking their model virtual reality system and they're designing it to meet the needs of a specific cultural environment. And this is a trend that they're doing with a lot of different groups right now in a lot of their research, trying to create these unique virtual reality systems where the actual components are reacting based on cultural differences and or in some cases they're doing some healthcare ones as well. In this particular case, this is looking at more Middle Eastern cultural values and programming systems that would be able to interact with soldiers and help train soldiers to understand the cultural awarenesses and of people over in the Middle East. And so it's a generalized system, and this is one component that they're using it towards. So it's very much a research project. It will be a published piece of information, and it will be applied on a general
Any questions for Michelle on this one? We got consensus on this one? This one's a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And now we'll look at Hanushek.
Yes. This one is through our gifts department. It's a restricted gift. It is specifically says in the letter, may not use the grant funds in any other way as referenced in the first paragraph of this award letter. And it is to support in a thing that we term ERC, Texas Education Research Center, on our campus. It's a portion of the funding that goes to that arrangement, and specifically if you go to the website for it, it reads, primary objective of this project is to enable research that will benefit pre-K to 6th education in the state of Texas by bringing together individual level administrative data from multiple Texas state agencies as well as other sources of education. They perform high-quality academic research that builds upon historic focus of improving academic achievement, increasing transitions to and success in post-secondary education, improving labor market outcomes of students in Texas and the nation. They have a listing of publications, working papers, and also dissertations. So it's very much a research project that this money is supporting.
Okay, I just had a question. I know the research center that's set up there, but is this award specific for a particular research project, or is it just general money to support the operations of that center?
It's research projects within the center. It's supporting the students that are in there as well as the faculty that are associated with it.
And so, Michelle, you've got some documentation that says that, right?
Yes, I do, right in front of me.
But is the letter specific for the research activities?
It says to support the Texas Educational Research Center.
Okay, I guess
that is a portion of the Texas Schools Project, which is, I think, what you're referring to, and this is the research portion of.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the research centers. I just was wondering, could you tell us what the title refers to? PHI infrastructure.
Hacker Humanities Institute. It's the name of the group that funded it.
Okay, so infrastructure is just referring to general support?
Yes, it's just general support, and it's been primarily sourced to stipends and salaries of faculty who are working in this institute doing these research projects.
Well, as Christy said a while ago, how does that, where does that fit the sponsored R&D definition? That's what I'm struggling with.
I would view this more in the accounting methods. One, is it restricted for a purpose? And I guess, for gifts, yes, it's ambiguous, but according to that letter, it is restricted towards research, and then the institution directed it within that center to support the research activities. So from an accounting standpoint, I just view it as restricted towards research. The institution is deciding how it's used.
So I'd answer the question.
That's what Harvey was just pointing out.
That's right, put it under A3 or A1.
Yeah, probably a combination.
I and I.
Yeah, combination of A1 and A3.
Okay, so these gifts and endowments and stuff like that are going to go through as long as the documentation's there, right? Because there's a lot of them from.
There are a lot
from several institutions. Like, where were they last year?
I think there's a historical precedent.
Yeah. Good. So we're going to go yes on that one?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, Dale, if we go way back to when we were trying to make these rules, it isn't necessarily the sponsor, it's what the activity is going to be.
Yeah, it's clearly in this document.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to run into that with a lot of these Texas Education Agency awards. And so it may sound like public service sometimes or instructional purposes, but because it involves oftentimes people from the College of Education and people from College of Science, it's usually, there's some professional development, but there's a lot of model development as well, and then dissemination. So it's the face of education research right now.
But have we made a decision here about handling gifts? I mean, is this a purpose of the gift? Really a precedent as to how we're going to handle
I think in the past we've handled gifts that were specifically designated to support research activities as research. Is that not correct?
Yes,
That's right, purpose.
If we went back last year or the year before, Kingsville has
we have
a
two
gift
gifts from the Caesar Kleber Foundation, and they've been, in the past, deemed as research. And those funds are restricted research.
I think as long as you have documentation that the gift is specifically for research purposes, then you should be okay. Correct?
Yeah, if they just came up and dropped off a suitcase of money, you know.
But in this case, the gift was designated for a unit, and that unit is primarily doing research, and the gift has been directed to research. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's what I heard.
Okay, and that's what we would accept.
And I'm just guessing you guys at the institutions have been putting procedures in place to catch your endowments and gifts and make sure you document them as research. So the next one is okay.
Okay, the next one on the list is another gift, and it is from the Texas Instruments Group. It is specific to support the Texas Analog Center of Excellence, which is a new center on our campus. It is geared towards graduate student support. The Texas Analog Center is a large compilation of both private and governmental funding to support engineering research, and specifically it is for development of analog mixed signal power management and RF integrated circuit techniques using silicon technologies. They will investigate the design of various high-performance and ultra-low powered mixed signal systems. It is so far, I believe it's about a 3-year, looking forward 3 years so far for funding, and it is mixed funding from both company and government.
Okay, questions on that one?
And it includes ETF funding, sorry.
Questions on that one? Okay, we'll call that one a yes. And Michelle?
Question? Did you ask a question, Dale? I missed that.
No, you're excused from the meeting now.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Let me go first.
I think Michelle had some personal business to go attend to, and that's why she requested to go first. We're gonna go look at Angelo State now.
Okay, this is Katie Plum from Angelo State.
Hi, Katie.
Hi. We have the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board Nursing Innovation Grant for transforming LVN to RN education. And it's designed to develop and test a new model for accelerated LVN to RN education in partnership with area hospitals. It involves systematic research in quasi-experimental design and to possible publication in this area.
Okay, since that one's here, we checked it out. We know that this one's a research. We're going to call this one a yes.
Very good.
Okay.
And let me just mention one thing about this. One of the reasons behind that is the method of finance for this funding. This funding is tobacco settlement funding. It's not general appropriation funding.
Yes.
There you are.
So it's tobacco funding.
Correct.
It's research funding.
that what I'm hearing?
If it's research.
If it's research, right. But if this were from general revenue appropriation to the coordinating board, it would not be counted.
That's correct.
Even if it was research?
Even if it was
research.
So, did I hear that two decisions have been made? One is this is allowable, and the other is, have we decided it's a research project?
Yes. Yes, we have.
Yes.
We have confirmation internally that it is, in fact, doing research.
So, let's,
If we have at our institutions one of these that we've maybe classified differently, not understanding that we can reclassify.
As long as it's research. Right.
Yes, I think we have one from the coordinating board as well that comes out of those same funds. It's a research project, and we've been calling it that.
Great. We just wanted to make sure everybody knew that that's how we were okay and we were comfortable counting it that way. But when you begin to look at advanced research program grants, that's general revenue.
Right.
So that's different.
okay, thanks, Katie. We're going to move on to
Thank you.
Midwestern State. Is that the next one? Lamar, I'm sorry.
I'm checking.
If they, well, scroll down a little bit and see if they even have any.
That's it.
No? Okay, next one then. Midwestern State.
This is Patty Hamilton.
Hi, Patty.
Western State. I present the rationale for R&D money for a BEGIN grant. It was a 5-year grant for $3 million. It is a multi-function grant for recruiting, training, inducting new teachers into public schools. And I'm reading from the evaluation component with systematic data collection procedures for a variety of sources for strong formative as well as summative elements of the overall evaluation plan. And we had justified it as multifunction, and portion of that function was research based on the standard accounting methods document that said if you had evaluated a model in portion, it could be considered research. The point in question is our evaluation component that we subcontracted to the University of North Texas, with oversight still remaining at Midwestern, and we paid $67,000 to the Office of Research Services at UNT to conduct a portion of the statistical analysis, and we're wanting a ruling on whether that is the subcontract, and if so, is that different from pass-through?
Can we see the CSDA on that?
We're in the CETA discussions the other day.
This question's come up before.
Verified UNT did not report this as pass-through money for research on their end.
Well, they're technically performing an evaluation service, correct? I mean, they're not doing it.
It's going to their Office of Research Services, and the evaluation is overseen by Midwestern and by an evaluation steering committee.
Okay, I think the other issue, too, that comes up all the time, or has in the past, and I guess continue to come up on these types of projects, is if it's just a program evaluation as opposed to whether or not it rises to the level of a research project.
Right. Well, I would say that their intent is to encourage replication of a portion of this proposal that I'm reading for dissemination of their findings for the evaluation.
Well, I think the issue there, I guess, is a continuing discussion for all of us, is any of our curriculum projects are like that. There's an evaluation and everyone wants to disseminate the results, but does it rise to the level of a pilot project with a significant evaluation component that would be considered research?
And do you have a rule of thumb about what discriminates evaluation from significant research? Or has this committee done that? Because their plan has each element of the design the criterion they will use for evaluating it, the data sources, the analysis, and so forth. So it's certainly well constructed, but I hear what you're saying about when does it become research. But as I read the standard accounting methods, this is covered there as real R&D.
And I'm not challenging your specific project so much as, trying to continue to get clarification on this issue for all of our benefit.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I think you have to have a research methodology and some kind of data collection and evaluation to justify for the dissemination purpose. It can't just be evaluating the model and disseminating it. And I'm sure that the evaluator is coming out of our College of Education. It wouldn't be coming out of the Office of Research Services.
Well, the evaluator is Dr. Allen, and I had verified that that's not, I verified that she was not at UNT.
That is it it's Dr. Allen?
Mm-hmm.
What's the first name?
Just a second, I can find it for you.
Our institutions had these rejected in the past because of the Galaxy-sponsored programs, so it's not.
Could we roll back up? See the title of this?
There is no Dr. Allen in Research Services.
Nancy Allen, the external evaluator Nancy Allen will engage key project staff in the ongoing process of evaluation, and then goes on to say she will oversee the evaluation advisor committee and so forth. So there are really two issues. There's the issue I hear that affects more than us about whether this is research, and the second issue is the subcontract issue. So what's the thought on either of those?
Well, it seems that the subcontract wouldn't be a research project because they're performing a service for you. So it seems reasonable that would not be reported as research on their end.
Nor as pass-through.
If it's a subcontract, it would be reported as an expenditure at Midwestern, right?
Well, the problem with the federal pass-through, is that what you're talking about for the CFA?
Right. We're trying to discriminate, make sure this is not what would be classified as pass-through because it's a contracted piece of work that's still...
Right. If it's not research on their end, then it's a vendor relationship. That's my understanding.
Okay. Well, they did not count it as research on their end because I've checked. No, this is a 5-year project, and I'm coming in midstream, and it's never been reported by them as research in the data that I've looked at. So that issue's aside, but now it's the more general issue of how do you count.
Is this development of a model that's going to be replicated?
Yes, it's a model for recruiting, training, and inducting new teachers into public schools, and it's a specific strategy that they're evaluating.
And how much was the total project for?
The total project was 5 years, $3 million, and what we're wanting to report here is $92,000, which is a combination of the external evaluators' award or salary and the...
Oh, so you're trying to only count a portion of the total?
Correct. We're wanting to count a total of $92,000.
Well, then I think that means we have to go to proving if more than 50% of the activity is research.
Aha. No, well, it would not account for 50%.
It's not research.
Well, then, yeah.
But actually, if it is development of a model that's going to be replicated, and where do we...
Well, I agree. If it's a curriculum model that Midwestern is doing and we're just doing the evaluation, the model part of it may be more than 50% or meet 2I under instruction curriculum models, and maybe that's how it's research.
Well, that's how we were considering. Curriculum development projects may be considered R&D when the primary purpose is developing and testing an instructional model.
Okay, well then I think the matter of the evaluation on the subcontract then is not the issue.
True. Yeah, it's back to the whole...
No, it's not. when we discussed these, if it was a pilot model project with a significant research component and a significant dissemination component, then it would qualify under D2. Is that correct?
Are you referring to 2I under instruction?
Yes, that's what I meant.
A curriculum development project? And you have the documentation to show the research methodologies, the data collection, evaluation, dissemination?
Correct, yes. There's a whole section of the proposal that deals with that.
Right, then I would count the whole thing under 2I as research.
Yes, I agree.
So the 92,000, when you're saying the whole thing, you mean that portion that was separately budgeted for evaluation?
No, actually, I think we're talking about the whole award.
Right, because the evaluation piece is probably, usually the evaluation part is 10% maybe. So I'm sure for that dollar amount, you have much more activity or dollars going towards the development of your model.
Absolutely, and testing, field testing. So do I hear from, am I really hearing that it should be the annual expenditures for the entire project because a component of it is evaluation, or just the evaluation component?
No, it's because
the whole project sounds like research.
And I'm supporting the whole project because you're telling me that it fits under 2I, which says it's a curriculum development project, and that you have in the objectives where you've demonstrated a data collection, an evaluation, a dissemination, and publication component. And if you have those components for the overall award, then it's the whole award amount.
I'm going all the way back to your abstract because I'm getting confused. What does it say in the proposal?
About evaluation?
No, overall.
What is this project proposed to do?
Now, overall, hang on. Well, what I'm looking for is the program solicitation. I can put my finger on that. Applicants
I think we'd like to know what the PI wrote. What did the PI say that was going to be done with this money?
Do you have an extract?
That's what I'm digging for. I'm going to put the phone down.
You sort of, while you're looking, you sort of, Christie sort of tipped me a little bit. Up until now, I haven't been feeling very strongly one way or the other. But I think if we can link this to what's in our standard accounting methods documents, we can move on.
Although I have to say, we have teacher quality grants at our university, and basically it's a 6-week program where you train the teachers, and then there's about $5,000 of it is for an evaluation. And we are not coding that as research because the purpose is to train the teachers.
Exactly.
And we have teacher quality grants too, and we don't count them as research for the same reason. They're principally teacher training grants.
So I think that's where we'd really have to be shown that this is an exception to what is generally a teacher quality project.
And by the way, nodding around the table about not counting teacher quality grants unless they are specific for a project that's a research project.
I can find no overall abstract, and that's my fault. But what I have found is just the evaluation piece and the plan of work. And the plan of work really focuses on developing the model, and not so much, it does not, they are separate in the proposal. I can't find a place where they are brought together. This is what I've been given is an annual overview of the work to be performed, and the way this proposal is written is they're divided into sections. They're divided into the section of the development of materials, the pilot test, the implementation, and then the evaluation. So that's what I have in front of me.
Yeah, I think that's the issue too, is that when we've discussed some of these before, if we read abstracts and they were specific for teacher training and, oh, by the way, it's also a model and we're going to see if it worked or not, then it wouldn't qualify as research. But that if it was outlined as a pilot project specifically to test specific strategies and had research methodologies associated with the evaluation of it and, with the intent to disseminate and publish, then we had counted them.
Well, the way this is written, as I said, divides those tasks into portions, and it is not brought together in the material that I have in one heading. It simply starts out by saying, begin, the evaluation will be a systematic data collection procedures for a variety of sources to provide strong formative and summative elements to the overall plan, evaluation plan. The design of the evaluation provides methods to ascertain the effectiveness of the activities or product while providing information about the conduct or process of the project.
I would say that would be insufficient for research. So just about every project we have has those statements in them for training projects.
And again, you're reading from the subcontract, which is just the evaluation component.
Right.
And so it's a very small piece, so I'm going to have to say no, because this would be the first time we had ever put a teacher quality grant into the research category, and that program's been here going on for a long time. So I've not ever seen a teacher quality grant have enough of the research methodologies attached to it. It does have an evaluation component, but that's usually a very small percent. So I'm going to have to stick with history and say it's instruction.
Well, I would say if we, with no more information, that we couldn't make a determination that it is research.
We've got a consensus on this one?
No.
No, I don't think we do. And I think we also have another issue, which is that it's only $92,000.
But again, that's the subcontract
The institution
amount she's pulled out.
It's actually $3 million.
The institution specifically wanted this one flagged so it could be
Yeah,
up
we
for
wanted
discussion.
the ruling, know how to proceed with
Mine no is
this
voting
because
with
this is
Christie.
new to us.
Dale, just a basic question. Did we not, some years ago, decide that it was either 50% or nothing and that we weren't going to pull out sections of it?
Yeah. Yes,
to call
you're right.
research, just not research?
The primary purpose has to be research.
And so again, if you're just focusing on the evaluation piece, that's not enough to make it research. And the remaining part of your award is not going, is more teacher training type things, and it's not going to be enough to make it research.
And so we can go by the standard accounting methods because there it does say curriculum development projects may be considered R&D when the primary purpose of the project is developing and testing an instructional model. So that helps. That helps us, and we wanted that clarification. But now to go back to the other issue, we did interpret it correctly that would not be passed through, but be a vendor relationship. Is that right? When an institution remains in control of the project but outsources some part?
I think the vendor subrecipient relationship is based on how many of your objectives that you subcontract out. And I would think that the evaluation, again, is one of many. And so you have to determine if there's a significant portion of your responsibility being subcontracted out in order for it to be a subrecipient.
And my understanding is that's really a decision between you and who you're coordinating with. As to who reports that.
Yeah.
I'm ready to vote.
Well, this is helpful, but that when we did request this ourselves, and I appreciate your input. Thank you.
Do we need to vote on this one, or?
Yeah, we're ready to
All
vote.
I think we'll withdraw it.
But what if we vote and what if we get a vote and you win?
Yeah, I shouldn't give up so easy, huh?
Okay, we'll put a note on this one that the institution withdrew it.
Thanks.
Put a note on it that it was withdrawn, and then mark it as no. Let's go on to Sam Houston State.
This is Jerry Cook at Sam Houston State.
Hi there.
Yeah.
First one up is
Forgetting one.
Terry Kuntz.
Terry Coons, yes, this is a project funded through Homeland Security, and what this project does is they are developing new protocols for identifying trace elements, and this is all funded for research towards safety at airports. And Terry has just moved to Sam Houston State from another research institution, and he has been doing this for several years, and all of this research is essentially to develop new methods. So we think this is definitely research.
I agree.
Okay, yes on that one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And now on the next three that are listed, all the Cecilia Marquardt, we want to withdraw those. Those are almost totally training grants, so we want to withdraw those.
Hey Jerry, this is Stuart Wright at Lamar. I'm just curious, what? That's a lot of money for training. What was the training about?
This is to train police departments
to detect impaired driving.
Yeah, and this is actually a proposal that we have had for quite a few years, and we had a new person in research that uploaded these awards this year, and we've never put this one up before.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, there's no research component to this.
Okay, so now we'll look at Vincent Webb.
Yeah, same thing, and I apologize that we had a new vice president in our contracts and grants this year, and he put this one up too, and this is actually almost identical to the Marquardt. This is a training to train police departments. So we would like to withdraw this.
Okay.
There are three of them, right?
The projects. He's just talking about the Project Safe Neighborhood?
Yes, Project Safe Neighborhood.
Okay, just one.
Okay, back to Vincent Webb.
Yes, Vince Webb, this is the Rural Crime Lab, and I think this is the last of ours, these two, and I think this is the same situation. Again, these were uploaded. This is actually an earmark that we received, and it's to develop a crime lab for local law enforcement to get samples processed. So there really is no research component to this, so we would like to withdraw these two.
Okay.
And I think there are several of those.
And we marked them.
There are two of those, yes.
Okay.
And again, this is a federal earmark that was mistakenly put onto our list.
Okay, now we'll look at Stephen F. Austin.
Yes, Bill, if I'm correct, I think we only have one up there, and this is actually still a existing award, but it's for the purchase of a spectrometer through the National Science Foundation Major Research Instrumentation Program. And from the project description, the research and training activities associated with the purchase of that equipment are studies of bioactive natural products, identification of bioactive agents from plants, identification of novel anti-cancer compounds, antiviral agents from plants, etc.
Right.
Yes.
All of us voting yes.
Yeah, it's yes.
It's an MRI.
This one's good.
MRI.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, MRI is good.
Thank you.
Sol Ross. Let's see, did we have anyone from Sol Ross out there? No, so we're looking at William Cloud. Can you bring up the CFDA number on that one, DJ? Scroll down just a bit.
Dale?
Yeah.
While you're looking at that one, I just have a general question about these types of projects. You know, we had that discussion about the nature of computer science projects having to do with, you know, generally building and designing databases and that kind of thing. And it may also be true for archaeology. They do these types of surveys, so I'm not sure the CFDA might point to research, but when you're doing archaeology, you're going out and you're collecting stuff.
Yeah.
For research purposes, so.
Right.
So even though it may be associated with historic preservation, it may also be very definitely linked to research. So I'm just throwing that out as just a general question, too, because we have some that we make decisions about all the time related to archaeology.
Right. We've looked at these before.
Hey Dale, this is Stuart Wright. I'm having a little bit of trouble finding the institutions on this website because we seem to be jumping around, and they're not in the same order that we're addressing them as they are on the website. Could you give there's a number attached to each one of these. Could you give us the number so we could locate them?
Are you using the selections? We're using the selections here. So when I say Sol Ross State, I'm actually pulling Sol Ross State out.
Oh, you're going
off of the institution.
At the very top where it says institution.
And I've got the filter set.
You're clicking on Sol Ross State.
Right. And I've got the filter set for restricted research, questionable, and of course 2009.
Okay.
And that'll give you the one we're looking at.
Gotcha.
But you could also
Thank
go
you.
to 9288. That's the number.
You could.
No, that helps. I'd forgotten that I'd done that before. Yeah, that works. Thank you.
If I might interject, I was going to mention that if you click on, when you're in the questionable thing, click on institution, the hyperlink at the top, and it will alphabetize the institution. So if we're going in alphabetical order, that will do it for you too.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, if you want the whole list in front of you. Of course, we're marking these as we go, so if you do any refreshing, the ones that we've marked yes or no are going to disappear.
Why is this one on the list since it's less than 250,000?
Same thing, the institution might have wanted it to go through here for a determination.
Their next year award may be more than 250 as well, so it could either way.
I think she said she wanted to have conversation about whether preservation or archaeological services, that the intention was always research, so could we really go with that? Can I see the CFDA again? I want to see a little further below there on the uses. Yeah.
From a faculty perspective, if you're an archaeologist doing this kind of work, if you don't write up your results, you don't have a job for very long because you don't get tenure and promotion.
Well, and that was my question, is that the nature of the work, typically is written up, and it is their research component. So
I would generally classify this as research.
I'm in the same position. I would generally classify this as research, but what I don't know is what are the title certainly implies a research project, so I didn't flag it, but what is, since it's up here, what are we doing in this project?
Oh, we don't have anyone from Sol Ross out there, right?
Sol Ross isn't here. I have an issue, though. We have some of these that come up, and I always go back to, of course, we don't have it because no one's here from Sol Ross, to the description. And if the purpose is for research purposes, then we'll count it. But if they say that they're doing it for the general good of the people and to make everybody happy, then we don't count it. So
I know how we look at it, too.
Yeah, it could be education. It depends how it's skewed.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough information here to know the objectives of this specific project to really know.
Considering it's under $250,000 and the institution isn't represented, I'd just say we move on.
We'll leave this.
Sandy Brown from Texas A&M System. I just pulled up the note attached, and it says this was reported in fiscal year 08 as well. So was it on the research report then?
Oh, BJ, go back to the page. Bring up that note over there. We need to be looking at those.
Again, I think typically if you're doing an archaeological survey, then you're gathering data for reporting for research purposes.
Exactly.
Unless you're, gathering artifacts specifically for display in a museum without any specific research purpose. So I guess that's the questions that, might come up.
That's a continuation from last year.
I thought it was research last year.
Oh, okay, BJ, go back to that list and pull up 2008.
But you can't do restricted research questionable.
And set that one to no filter.
Dale, I'm going with Jeremy a little bit here. Could we just get some more information and vote online? If we get the abstract, it's likely research, as everybody's saying.
If we do it that way, we'll get more information and we'll classify it. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's move on.
So leave that one questionable. Going on to A&M International.
Can you increase your voice?
What's the question? You want me to talk louder?
I barely can hear you.
You can barely hear me? Okay. So we're going to go to Texas A&M International.
Thank you.
Hi, Jeff Brown here, and I have the PI, John Kilburn.
All right.
Reading from the project summary, it says this award will allow for the development of a self-sustaining office of sponsored research to facilitate and promote interdisciplinary research, as well as coordinate all research-related activities for faculty. Specific aims are to, 1, build research capacity for our faculty and students and develop the ability to serve this region, particularly in the biomedical and behavioral sciences fields. 2, increase the amount of interdisciplinary projects as well as collaborative projects with other institutions. 3, support faculty involvement in research activities. And 4, coordinate and build on previously developed initiatives. And lastly, 5, create a grants working group.
I vote
In the
yes.
grants working group, we've got 3 pilot programs, like antimicrobial properties of plant lectins, time use and time diaries related to childhood obesity, use of video technology and health outcomes for cancer treatments. And those are the programs that will be funded as pilots as a subcontract of this grant.
Yeah, it kind of fits AAI and AAIII.
So more than half of the funding is actually being spent for research, is that correct?
Yes.
Well, the CFDA is clearly for research purposes.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's go yes on this one.
Yes.
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 The description when it started out.
And A&M Commerce?
Yes. Our first one is, this is Natalie Henderson, by the way. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm part of our institution.
Texas A&M Commerce.
Commerce, thank you.
We have two. Our first one is from the National Science Foundation regarding scholarships and research experiences for transfer students. This project will train transfer students in activities and research projects, and it also will evaluate strategies to increase the retention of these students. This project also has an evaluation component, and we feel like it meets the criteria under A, number 5.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go with yes on this one?
Yes.
Go to the next one, Gilbert Nizer.
Pardon me?
Gilbert Nizer?
Yes. Dr. Nizer had to leave, so I'll talk about his as well. His is the next one, the M2T2. And theirs will develop, implement, study, and evaluate strategies that encourage K through 12 students to develop interest in and to be prepared for careers in the STEM workforce of the future.
I want more information on the research part of that.
Okay, just a second.
Can you pull up the CFDA while she's doing that, just so I can get a intention? Where the emphasis is.
CFDA.
Pardon me?
I think it's a generic CFDA. Does some research, but it's multi-purpose CFDA.
Correct, but I think the large portion of it is research. Just a second.
Research studies, educational.
Well, it's just a big piece of STEM education, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It all involves STEM.
Well, use and restrictions is research, educational activities or studies, equipment, materials and supplies, scholarship.
Correct.
UT Arlington has this same CFDA program, and it's questioned for us.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I was going to say UT Arlington has this same program as questionable, and for what we focused on ours, for why this was research, was in the CFDA program, was that it would provide the research necessary to inform educational practice. The strength of VHR programming resides in its ability to integrate research and education. Its use is research on learning and teaching that informs educational practice. Grant funds may be used for costs necessary to conduct research, educational activities or studies, but for our program specifically, we have, I guess, a bit more support towards the research activities for what we're doing. We engage candidates in standard-based inquiry teaching, problem-based teaching experiences, action research, curriculum development, and reflective practice, and in the sharing of findings, curricula, and reflections.
Right. I'm going to interject a little bit on this one because this CFDA, some years ago, I believe it was UT El Paso, had a math science partnership. There was a large award, and they were able to have it classified as research because of some documentation they had on the work they were doing with local school districts. But there were others of us who had math science partnerships under this very same CFDA who argued for the same pilot project and were told it was not research. So, again, I think the part we have to look at is the 50% research purpose on it.
This is Patty Hamilton again from Midwestern. That's a good point. And are we looking at 50% in terms of purpose, text in the text, or are we looking for 50% of the budget?
Well, I think
more
it's
than 50% of the budget. What the most primary really refer to?
I think of it as 50% of the objectives, and then and then you look to the budget to see if the budget is supporting the 50% of the objectives you've identified to be research.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Ultimately, budget does indicate primacy, or not.
I also think that it's since it's coming from NSF, there tends to be more of a research expectation tied to their projects.
That may be true, but this group has ruled in the past that that's not necessarily true, that your objectives had to be very specific for research in order to be counted.
Yeah, this is Stuart Wright from Lamar. We've had a STEM project approved before, but I think we evaluated it on a case-by-case basis, and the case had to be made that the primary objective, or at least a substantial component of it, was research.
Yeah, the CFDA is a guide. You really, when it's questionable, it's supporting it with what your program is actually doing.
Because it's mixed purpose. So we stand behind having to identify objectives and making your case with the objectives that more than 50% is research.
A&M Kingsville has the same project, STEM, with the same CFDA number, and I put it on the list this year, but back in 2006 it was approved as research. So it just depends on the objectives.
Yeah, again, it's got to be based on the individual project because, like I said, we've had similar projects that they've been rejected because we didn't write them right.
Well, University of North Texas also has one of these programs under the same one, and for us, it was reviewed as curriculum models, so it's more falling under the 2I under instruction because it is creating and developing models for new learning technology and research for STEM students and how to develop the curriculum more towards them leaning towards those careers. So, as Jeremy said, you can justify it several different ways. Maybe we just need to... Did you tell us what the objectives were?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Did you give us the objectives?
Yes.
How many objectives are they?
Curriculum materials focused on ICT, intensive STEM content, and problem-based collaborative learning. Number 2, teacher professional development, summer camp, and year-round follow-up. Number 3 is public-private partnerships with industry, middle schools, university, community colleges, and state agencies focused on education and workforce issues. Implementation of year-round model targeting teachers and students from rural schools. Recruitment and retention plan, capacity and background. That's the last one.
Yeah, so based on some previous ones that were evaluated, that would have been a no.
Yeah, I wasn't hearing a lot of development of models or new information or significant improvement.
But I'm open to other people interpreting because then I could add some more to the list. If I be more open about it.
Okay, I think kind of where we're going is what has happened is somebody has identified I think it's section D111 or something where it talks about curriculum specifically, and in the first section A, a lot of time these kind of projects would fit under 5, AAV that is, activities involving the training of individuals in R&D techniques. So
I'm sorry, can you speak up just a little bit?
Okay, I think that what we're looking for is how does it fit the definition of research in this coordinating board standards and whatever, methods in accounting. document, and it seems like I'm trying to listen for it to fit in two different ways. One in which it talks about curriculum development projects that significantly improve or add, and the other area is in R&D, and I'd be looking to hear about activities involving the training of individuals, and that would be what I'd probably be looking for first in a project like this, and that's what I'm listening for as you talk. But there could be others. There are several ways that it could be brought in, but those seem to be the top on my list.
Right, but these, when they're talking about training of individuals in R&D techniques, they're not talking about training public school teachers in science.
No, we're not talking about regular classroom activities, regular laboratory activities. These do mean things where students are arm to arm in a research laboratory with research scientists or something similar to that. So to come back to this specific project, that's what I was listening for, and I don't think I heard it. So unless you have some information that alludes to this definition of research in some way, I'm ambivalent. I can't quite swing over to support it.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, maybe we should just collect more information and let the coordinating board look at it.
I do know that they have gone to the Institutional Review Board and have IRB approval for some of the data collection and research that they want to do as well. And they will be creating and adapting visualization learning tools from gaming and visualization technology as well. I don't know if that helps any.
I think that's...
So if we could have more information on that, we might consider it differently.
Yeah, that's getting a little closer, I think, to...
Yeah, I think the issue is that when you go down and you examine the objectives, and the objectives do not address the research purposes, then that becomes very difficult to evaluate.
I understand. So should I give you more information to the coordinating board? Is that what you would like?
It's up to Dale. It's up to you guys.
We can.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We can. If y'all have consensus, we can go with that. We can vote on it, or we can leave it questionable. They can send us more information.
Well, I can't vote yes right now on what the information that I have.
You know, this is one of those areas where I think we have to try to be as clear-cut as we can. I mean, it's in a gray area.
By the way, I'm quite okay with them putting something together. If the people here, the coordinating board staff, want to review it, that's acceptable to me. I think the other piece of this that's going on here is just who is it that's talking out there? I keep wondering, is this Tommy Holiday?
No, it's Carrie Brown at SFA.
Okay,
and I'm doing a lot of delving here because we struggle with these things in our decisions as well. And so a lot of my questions are designed more for delving into the thinking of the group so we know how to better classify our own awards, and we don't want to cut ourselves short.
Carrie, Carrie, what you're doing is telling just why we do have these meetings and why we get together. We do need to continue to talk about this so that we firm up this concept of what research is. But the second part of it that's probably more important, as we go back and we talk to our PIs, we can then share with them a little bit about what constitutes research and help them in the writing of their proposals.
I agree.
Well, this is Patty Hamilton again, and I would, if this is reviewed by the coordinating board, I'd really like to know the rationale for determining primary in regard to the definition that's in the SAM, because I'm not clear. I was clear, and now I'm less clear what we really mean by the primary purpose of the project. I think this project is somewhat similar to our dilemma, which was if any portion of it is research, does that allow us to go ahead and report all of it, or what determines what the primary purpose is? Is it the amount in the budget? is it number one on the aims list? What is it that is the primary purpose? I'd like clarity on that for our own decision making as well.
I'll comment again. I'll go all the way back to the origins of this group. We argued for hours about this situation. We have a $100,000 award, and $90,000 of it is to feed chickens. The other $10,000 is to do a little bit of research to analyze the outcome of that experimental protocol in the chickens. So does the $90,000 going for chicken feed make this not a research project? No, it isn't that. What it is all about is what was the objective of the project, and that's where we had to come down in thinking about making these rules.
Oh, that's great. I love the example. That's good.
And I think that's the issue when we come to these curriculum development and teacher training projects, is the purpose to, what's the purpose, principally? And is research just, the evaluation and we evaluated and these were our results, or is the purpose to establish a new process or a new training procedure, evaluate it scientifically, and report and disseminate those as a model. So
They want to vote.
Huh?
They'd like to vote.
Oh, we're going to vote on this one. We're going to vote on this one.
If you want to.
Or let's decide. Are we going to have a question, or yes or no? Let's go.
I propose that we let them see if they can put an argument together that justifies a significant piece of research, and let the coordinating board review it if they can't.
I agree with Wendy.
I agree too. I don't think we got enough information.
Sounds good to me.
Well, will that option be available to us at Midwestern as well, or have we already closed the door by withdrawing?
Well, we were probably tipped to not supporting you as it was, but I think you withdrew and didn't give that option, but that's a question for the coordinating board.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure that I can do a bit better, but I just wondered if we still have an open door.
Not if you withdraw it.
Okay.
Close that door.
In the past, Dale, we have sometimes circulated these to a number of committee members, and they have reviewed further documents that have come in and voted.
We could gather some of your opinions in order to help us when we get more information.
This is Stacy Silverman again. I want to make sure that you all know this is your opportunity for transparency. So what we hear sometimes at the coordinating board is, well, they didn't report, or they did, this institution or that institution reported and shouldn't have, but they got it through, and this is your opportunity. So if you have concerns or questions, this is your time to speak up now. And don't pass it up. And these are areas that are not easy to
Some of us are sitting out here thinking, gosh, why didn't we put 3 or 4 of our curriculum development projects on here, and we didn't do it because when we read our 4 or 5 objectives, they didn't say research. Even though we could go back in the text and pull researchy things out and present them as arguments. So
we don't want to do that.
And again, this is Stacy Silverman from the coordinating board. You may have far greater leniency amongst your peers than you do amongst bureaucrats. Sorry.
Well, I just want to make sure.
So remember the audit, right?
Well, yeah, we're not very nice here at the coordinating board.
I'm so glad.
But I hope we're not setting a precedence where we're not going to consider any STEM-related projects. That's not what I'm hearing. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
It's our experience
Very
that
good.
each STEM is a little bit
Very good.
different.
Let's
One
look at objectives.
one might make it through, and one might not.
Fair enough.
Well, if we're going to go with objectives, and that seems what I've heard in determining the primary purpose, then I would vote. I'm prepared to vote against this one because the objectives that were read did not include language that convinced me it was research.
I agree.
Did we? Did we already decide it was questionable, Dale, and it's coming back to you?
I thought we had.
We did. Yes.
We could always change our minds, I guess.
And we could change them again. So we've got about an hour and a half
We
on
gotta
the
move on.
basic
Yeah, we
schedule,
gotta-
and we've
we
got a lot
gotta-
of proposals to review.
What do y'all want to do?
I think if the university feels strongly about it, they should take their option of providing more information.
That's what we'd like to do.
Fine, we're moving on.
We'll do that, and we'll go to Corpus Christi now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Gary Jeffress.
Okay, that one's AAIII and AAI. In other words, a little bit of infrastructure and a little bit of research. Let me just read in the contract. Research, the Division Nearshore Research, Texas A&M University Corpus Christi will be conducting research utilizing data collection by stations, including the Sabine Netches ports. Ports is a software package. Faculty, staff, and students will be conducting research in the field of oceanography, marine science, marine safety, and transportation, and others not identified herein. DNR will be conducting research on forecast and modeling programs, statistical modeling, and other processes within the university. Okay, this is a series of stations out along the Gulf of Mexico that measures a dozen or more meteorological, either atmospheric or water, like dissolved solids, mean high tide and all that kind of stuff, and transmits data in many times a minute, and that data is available all over the world at any time.
I'll go yes.
Sounds like research.
All right, Mark.
Collection, analysis,
research.
modeling.
Research.
Mark, that one is yes?
Yes.
And we're going to go on to Texas A&M Kingsville. And we'll start with the D. Brown project.
Okay, that one is the STEM Success Pipeline, and Dan Brown wrote a little abstract on what it was, and I'll read that in just a minute, but the one of the objectives is to various authors have demonstrated the positive impact of undergraduate research on student engagement, a valuable measure of classroom reform, exposing undergraduate students to research early in their academic careers have been demonstrated to improve student persistence. The students will be invited to participate in the intersession undergraduate research exposure activities held on the A&M campus each year, and students will complete a research project related to ongoing A&M College of Engineering research projects that can be finished within a year. And so there's also a multifaceted undergraduate research immersion activity, and the goals of the project are complete research immersion and also practicing promoting best and successful practices which enhance student achievement in college. So it's also a model project.
Sounds like a lot of it is training in R&D,
Yes.
and that usually is constituted research for us.
Absolutely.
I agree.
A5.
I agree.
Guess on that one, we'll go to Gonzalez. M. Gonzalez.
Mary Gonzalez, the Upward Bound Science and Math programs. Okay. This entails, also I have a booklet of the students' research abstracts and academic programs, and all the students are made to do research abstracts, and so they put this together, and if you would like to read these abstracts, I have them. But what is done here is the objectives is to have 13 6-hour Saturday academic meetings, which will be held at A&M Kingsville during the academic year, and in keeping with the philosophy of learning by doing, the UBMS, the Upward Bound Math and Science, will hold its monthly Saturday meetings instruction at the Natural Toxins Research Center with hands-on study in the fields of math and science. So the Natural Toxins Research Center is where they do their summer program, and they are paired with a mentor of in research, and so and they're also assigned a McNair Scholar, Research Scholar, and their complete summer program is an intense 6 weeks residential program that offers research. And so they're all made to do research programs.
Okay, we've looked at this many times over the years. We also have these programs. It's been the consensus so far has been that none of the TRIO programs meet the research criteria, because the majority of the money goes towards recruiting those students and providing other kinds of activities for them, even though one of the activities may be to work alongside a faculty member for their 6 or 8 weeks to just be exposed to it. Might pull up the CFDA on that, but I'm kind of having a hard time going research on those.
I agree. I think I remember back that we discounted all TRIO programs.
Yeah, we have TRIO programs too, and we didn't include them as research.
Let's go no on that
Also
one.
here, we have several TRIO programs as well as the McNair Scholars Program. And, you know, granted there is a little bit of research in there, it's just not enough to put it on the other side of the line.
Yeah, a lot of debate on the McNair program in this group was held for Nancy Ward, because they had a fairly significant McNair proposal in the first year we ever met. And we didn't include it, Nancy, remember?
I remember.
And we visited that several years again.
Routinely.
And, right, it's been consistently no.
Yes, consistently no.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be fair.
It's just that the students in this program are, 95% is their exposure to research activities. So it's just as the objectives for each program is different.
Talking about
Are these high school students?
Yes, they are. I wasn't aware about the TRIO programs that they had been.
Yeah, last year we had to withdraw our upward bound from the TRIO.
Yeah. It would be unfair.
But the large component of their summer schedule is research, and 13 weeks of intense research working at the Natural Toxins Research Center, which is a center which does research. So that was my bias for that.
But the purpose of that is really just to expose them and get them interested in math and
Right, it's
science.
not really
and then
It's
they-
not teaching them
techniques.
research techniques.
Or the outcomes.
No, but then they have to pair up and as with a faculty member and do a research project. And this is their research projects for the summer of last summer.
But I'm not
that's okay.
sure if their outcomes of the research exposure they have meet to the level of the actual research as defined here.
That's fine.
Yeah, we have that same program, and we didn't include it.
No high school.
Okay. Next.
Okay, no on that one, and we'll move to the McNair.
Oh, I thought we just answered both of them.
We're answering
I think
both of
we all
those, so
have
no
McNair
no on both of those.
Yeah, I think that's a thumbs down for both.
I looked at the McNair budget, and 50% of the McNair budget is for research component. Because we have and I'll just be real brief on this, because I just don't want to have a no, but we have, see, 95, okay, let me just, the objective is 95% of the McNair students will participate and complete research scholarly activities. So 95% of this project is research. And so again, they have to develop research projects, and we have, again, a list of their research projects. They go all over the country and present their research projects at research conferences. And most of their budget is, they have academic research coordinators, they have the money for the summer for their research, and they're not allowed to do any other work or hold any other jobs, and their whole summer is to do research and prepare their research projects.
Now, I haven't been a part of the previous discussion about this, and we do not currently have a McNair program, but I know when we did, I mean, I thought it was really training undergraduate students in research.
That's exactly
That's what I mean, that's how I viewed it, but I don't think we ever counted it because of but like I said, I haven't been part of your prior discussions on it.
Well, the McNair program was the one of the TRIO programs that we spent a lot of time on because it did have the research component. But time after time. It was not enough to expect that the outcomes from that is going to meet the development, the study directed towards fuller scientific knowledge or understanding, or significantly improving upon an idea. So let's look at the CFDA and again remind ourselves what the purpose of it is.
The issue is preparing students to go on for the doctorate, which is bigger than research. I think that's how we've come to this.
Exactly what it says there.
So that's the distinction. If you're really, it's really hard to draw one, but I think that's what has happened.
But I would guess that you all count the research experience for undergraduates funding that you get from the National Science Foundation as supplements to your research awards, right?
But budget is quite different, though.
Right.
We aren't paying directors and coordinators and all that
True.
kind of stuff for those budgets.
And those are graduate students in there.
Well, undergraduates, research experience. for
Undergraduates, that's true. We count ours as research.
Yeah, well.
We do, too.
But he's saying, and you're
I'm
right,
not
it's a
arguing
difference.
for
The
or
budget's
against
different.
this specific one. I think Christy makes the right point here. It is that there are many McNair programs in Texas, and it comes up just about every year. So I think what we're doing is talking about fairness or being equal to everyone. And I'm quite open to having the conversation again, but I think we do it so that everybody either includes it or doesn't include it.
I agree.
I agree too. We have a McNair's program, and yes, it does have a research component to it. But we look at the big picture, the total picture, and it just again cannot push it to the research side of it.
Because a lot of it is seminars, tutoring, academic counseling,
Right.
securing admission and financial assistance. It's a cultural events, mentoring and exposing them to cultural events. And when you look at our budget, the budget pretty much supports those things right there. There's a portion that we pay to like some of our faculty that agree to work with them for some supplies, but it's a very small amount of the budget.
I was just looking at the specifics of this program, and 2 of the 3 objectives have to do with research experiences for the participants, and it's a significant role, and the kinds of activities that they're doing include technology research methods instruction, IRB process. If that's not training people for research, I'm not sure what is.
Every McNair is written different, and I came from a previous university where it wasn't, the focus wasn't mainly research. This project, all they do is train for
Is
research.
this the first year that you've had this particular McNair project?
No.
No.
And so, but
Well, it just sounds like we may have to have a different type of discussion because of the way this one has been configured.
Right. Every objective on this project is research, and they are not allowed to do anything else but focus on their research projects, and you should hear their research presentations. And also, there's a symposium that A&M puts together, and the largest participants at that symposium is
And
always
these McNair
Keensville,
people.
and we walk away with the research trophies. And those participants are McNair scholars.
So are you trying to link it to, under research, number 5, training of individuals
Yes,
in
I would say
R&D
A-V.
techniques?
A5.
And then it
Parts that
also
way.
says where such activities utilize the same facilities as other R&D
Right,
activities.
right, and they're using the Natural Research Toxin Center, which is a renowned.
Towards
That's
that way.
different from the one we had.
That is different.
Yeah, and I would give people credit for...
I'm sorry?
I said I would just give people credit for being able to work with the faculty PIs and the students to make things that traditionally may not have been considered as research projects to bring more significant component to it.
It's not a student lab.
Let me deal with the budget, because I was just glancing over the budget for, and well over 50%, I would say about 80% plus of the budget goes to supporting the research activities. There's no question, unless we decide to just allow all McNairs.
Right, and like I said,
And I
I
think
don't want to
we're
do
incorrect
that out
in
of
doing
So
that.
we might need to do what we've done with the STEM, is just look at the McNairs
Case
on
by
an individual basis based on their primary purpose.
Exactly. This is a truly research project, and when I heard these students present, I was just amazed at their research projects and the outcomes and what they had learned.
Well, since
call
this
the
one's
question
clearly
or-
written for research, can we say yes and go on?
Absolutely, I will.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so
But Dale, this raises a really interesting question. It means we need to revisit our whole strategy in looking at, because a lot of us have McNair programs, and I know that there's research involved, and I've actually been a faculty mentor with students, with McNair students, so I know it pretty well. And there is a research component, but we've just never taken that position before that we counted it as research. So it would really require us to kind of revisit this whole issue.
You just need to look and see if it's 50% of the activities. If it's not 50%, then it's not classified research by the SAM.
Well, I think this makes it unique in, after all these years, there's never been one that met the 50%.
Isn't that
Maybe it's
wonderful?
just
We're moving
unique.
forward as a state. Somebody's taking the lead.
Thank you.
Well, I think because of our history on this, it is one that a lot of people have one. Why not go ahead and provide the information and let the coordinating board look at it, since it has been deemed something that the whole program has been disqualified as research. So if the program's changing and the types of things that folks are doing with the program, then we need to all have a better understanding of that.
Okay, so everyone is kind of swung over to a yes on this one. So we're going to say yes on
Very good.
on the McNair.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lots of fits that are coming in
Very good.
And let's go on to the next one.
if it needs to be done.
The next one is the STEP, a model for student success and persistence, and I apologize, this was reviewed back in 2006, and I was not, since I'm sort of new to this process, I wasn't aware that once it's been approved, you don't have to relist it. So it was back in 2006 looked at.
Are you saying we've already called it research?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Let's move on then.
Move.
Make that one yes?
Yes. The last two I have were also looked at in 2005, and they were approved as research. The money is for the Cesar Claver Wildlife Research Institute and supports the research activities of the Institute. And again, I apologize, I wasn't aware that once they're listed, you don't have to relist them. And I have...
Mark those as yes.
If anybody would like to see the
I remember we
activities
had
of
a
the
very
research.
lengthy discussion on this.
Yes, we did.
I think.
Thank you.
To Texarkana. Did A&M Texarkana join us?
UT Tyler joined.
Oh, good.
Who we got there from UT Tyler?
Arlene Horn.
Arlene? Okay.
Just as point of clarification, what happens when someone doesn't join the discussion?
They're not here to defend their award, and we could say no, the group could say no to it.
Okay.
They could say yes.
Just checking.
Or they could say yes.
Okay.
So is A&M Texarkana not here?
I don't think anyone's on the line for them.
Do we still not have to discuss it then, or?
No, we need to go ahead and
Yeah, we
discuss
should look at it and try to make a
May have been
determination.
flagged by only one
Can we see the
individual.
note, please?
What number is it?
Uh, 11251.
That's just a change in the FDA.
I couldn't get that CFDA number to pull up.
It's
Yeah,
not
I don't think-
there.
Yeah.
I don't think it goes that high.
Doesn't go that high.
Maybe it's 30-something, 30 point something.
Well, I've never seen a 30 for Department of Education.
Which one are we on? International?
They're 84, I think.
Texarkana 11.
I don't think we have enough information on this one.
I don't either. I mean, that it's the special ed recruitment and education on TEI. We have no idea what this is.
Sounds instructional, but again, not enough information.
I agree.
So you have two choices. You can vote no, or you can leave it pending.
Well, if we just look at the title, I'd have to say no.
I agree.
I would say no also.
Yeah, can you go back to the title? I'd have to say no, too.
It looks like a teacher training grant.
I'll
go
go
no
no.
on that
I
one.
believe no. No.
Was there just one?
Just one from Texarkana. We'll go on to Texas Southern.
Yes, this is Texas Southern. The project under question is funded through NASA, Division of Minority Research and Education Programs, and the scope of work under this research is to establish a research center designed to provide a broad-based, competitive NASA-related research capability among the nation's minority institutions. Also to foster new aerospace science and technology concepts, provide mechanisms for expanded participation by faculty and students of minority institutions in mainstream research. Here at Texas Southern, there are three main thrusts to this research. We have the Radiation and Microgravity Research Trust, we have the Space Microbiology Research Trust, we have the Biosensors, Bioinformatics, and Bionanotechnology Research Trust here at Texas Southern. So we strongly believe this is a research project.
I agree.
I believe so too.
I would agree.
I agree.
Let's go yes on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Am I excused?
And
Sorry about that.
okay, we'll go to San Marcos.
Okay, if I could I skip to the second project on that list, because they're actually, the first project and the second project are somewhat, in fact, they are sequential, even though they have slightly different names. We refer to them as Stellar 1, which would be the second project on our list, and Stellar 3, which is the first project. Stellar 1 is the $1 million award. It was the initial project that was funded by Texas Education Agency, and then we have the subsequent $3 million award. But again, this is going to be one of those STEM-related projects where you've got the primary goal is to contribute to the emerging knowledge base of effective instruction to support science achievement for English language learners, and there's some professional development to support the science teachers. If I can just read to you a list of the objectives and goals. It's one, to explore the complex nature of elementary science teaching in bilingual secondary language context, to integrate research-based best practices from bilingual education. 3, to design effective science instruction based on sound scientific content. 4, to disseminate knowledge, and then there's some assessment of the impact of the Stellar programs. So we feel like it's a research project based on the goals and objectives.
What's the difference between the two?
The $1 million project was the initial award, and then TEA came through with a second award for $3 million. The $3 million is to basically allow the university to work with 20 surrounding schools or districts. So it just allows for broader participation into the program.
But is that broader participation just teaching more students, or is that?
It's working with more school districts and more teachers.
Collecting more data?
Correct. There's significant qualitative and quantitative data collection, and as well as the formative evaluations.
What does the budget look like?
Well, and let me see. have that. For the $3 million award, you've got a significant amount in payroll costs, about $492,000 in payroll costs, $2 million in professional and contracted services, $53,000 in supplies and materials, $24,000 in other operating. So I don't know if that helps significantly more so than I think the intent or the project goals.
I think we have to go back on this and look at the project objectives if that's how we're going to judge these projects.
I can reread them again. Shall I?
Yes.
Okay. One is to explore, to me that sounds like investigatory, but explore the complex nature of elementary science teaching in bilingual secondary language context. Two is to integrate research-based best practices from bilingual education. Three, design effective science instruction based on, design effective science instruction based on sound science context and delivered by means of appropriate science pedagogical practices that integrate technology. Four is to disseminate the knowledge on science professional development for teachers. And then five, assess the impact of the Stellar programs on the curriculum.
Yeah, okay, because that goes back to the purpose, overall purpose.
Correct.
Because just in the use of the word research-based, they're requiring that in all their curriculum projects now. So that's just implementing research-based practices into their program design. So back to of those five objectives, is it pilots that's being evaluated and disseminated as a research pilot?
I have a note here from the PI, and primary aims is to, in her view, is to identify programs and strategies that lead to increased science achievement for English language learners. We will study programs that the schools implement and determine which are most effective, and then there's the dissemination as well. So again, this is one of those examples similar to the archaeological project, is that you've got large groups of education faculty who are basically putting their tenure and promotion on the line to generate, again, a contribution to the emerging knowledge base for effective instruction and support in science achievement.
I'm not sure. Well, I'm curious too about the large amount of contractual agreement. What was that budget amount?
That goes to the 20 school districts to allow them to submit grants that will then, they can take back to their campuses, implement their own strategies, and then that's what our group is assessing, how effective were those strategies. So some will be more or less effective in.
So the difference between that and pass-through is they are doing it for the purpose of your being able to evaluate it.
Correct.
So you're still in charge of the overall purpose of the activity.
Right.
Okay.
So does it, what you're saying, it meets the data collection, evaluation, dissemination, and publication criteria?
This is very similar to David Francis's projects, which we've discussed in the past, the English language learners reading first in Tejas Lee, where he will go into the school district, look at what their program is, modify it, allow the school district to apply it, collect data on it, analyze it, and then reapply modifications to it. It sounds very similar. Even the budget is almost identical to the English language learner that David Francis has been running.
And what was the outcome of that one? I'm sorry.
They've always been voted as restricted research because it is curriculum development. But
Those of us on the phone can't hear this conversation.
Our microphone isn't. I apologize.
Sorry.
And I'm sorry, this is Nancy. I was just saying this is very similar to David Francis's English language learners Reading First and Tejas Lee projects. Where he will go into school districts, evaluate the programs that they have there, modify the programs, or put a new program in place, allow the school districts to implement that program, study the effects of the program, analyze the data, and then make modifications to what he went in with, and then again, study the implementation of that program. And those have always been voted as restricted research because it is a constant process of changing curriculum, updating, modifying, studying the results, the successes or failures, and then modifying through the whole process. Even the budget is very similar to the projects that we've run.
I'm in favor of it if it meets the 3 criteria that we put for those types of projects.
I believe that it fits under the definition, squarely under the definition of research as a systematic study directed toward fuller scientific knowledge or understanding of the subject studied. I vote yes.
I agree.
Vote yes.
I agree.
Okay, let's go yes on both of those.
Right.
Congratulations.
Very good.
I want to know how you got those. Could we have copies?
Well, we've just taken a more aggressive approach of working with our PIs before they, or while they are developing the concept, to get them to think more in the research mode.
Those are just nice amounts of dollars from TEA.
Yes, it is.
Yes, those are
The next 2, if we can move on, are again 2, I'm sorry, not the next 2, but project number 3, which is called Project GREAT. That's for adult literacy. And then the last project on our list, the Credential Project. Again, those are 2 programs essentially under the same award from TEA that we have chosen to break apart because of the 2 different basically project coordinators, so that they could track those expenditures and budgets a little better. But they're similar in the 2 that we've just described in terms of its developing and analyzing strategies and best practices for teaching teachers essentially how to handle adult literacy issues. And then the Credentials Project is actually for the administrators and the teachers themselves. I can read a list of sort of program summaries, and so I think the key terms here is to develop a formative and summative evaluation plan, including a self-evaluation plan for the center in collaboration with stakeholders in the region. Ensure and document that each regional training event includes quantitative and qualitative evaluations of both the professional developer and the event, and then ultimately to provide quarterly and quantitative reports for measuring the performance outcomes on standardized forms. So that's in the TEA's project description or program overview. In terms of the principal investigators, for data collection, we have literature review, which, arguably is a preparation for data collection. But you have literature review, you have needs assessments of local programs, you have development and pilot of the teacher observation instrument, and evaluation of professional development activities. And then there is the dissemination aspect of review on but we have the Texas Education Institute. It's an internal institute. Review of the information posted on the website, reports to the funders, publications, and we also think that the 50% of the budget will support research activities. There's surveys involved, collection of demographic and performance information.
Can we see the CFDA number on that, please?
What's the goal, what's the overall goal again? I missed it.
Overall goal is to basically, I'm trying to find the easiest way to...
Is this more of a professional development project?
Well, there is professional development involved because you're not only teaching the teachers how to address adult literacy. So, like I said, that's why the two projects are somewhat connected, because one goes towards the program itself, and I think the other is towards the teachers and getting them credentialed.
Well, how does this go beyond routine program evaluations for just effectiveness of activity into research?
Well, I think the fact that we are developing a formative and summative evaluation plan, and that involves certain data collection, analysis, and then dissemination.
Well, I would again argue that just formative and summative evaluation plans are components of every project that comes out of certain areas. So, is there more research methodologies included? And
It's not clear, but I can provide that additional information to the coordinating board if that's required.
this one isn't as clear cut to me. Not hearing any comments from anybody else, though.
Well, I agree, Terry. This one gets back to very similar to ours at Midwestern. It was not as forcefully and clearly articulated to be research as those others.
Let's see if this statement would help clarify. It will add additional instructional units, student and teacher materials, strategies for teachers, and professional development resources related to the new units and teaching strategies based on scientific, evidence-based research.
That would do it.
Huh?
That would not do it.
Well, that sounds like using somebody else's model to just implement.
Because every project that's written out of there is requiring that they use research-based techniques, but they're incorporating the research of other people. But it doesn't necessarily they're doing research themselves.
Well, I mean, there is evaluation of the professional development activities. Does that not constitute a certain amount
That's just program evaluation.
program evaluation? I'll leave it to the panel.
Maybe we could have you send more information to the coordinating board for
I can do that if
them to look into.
that's requested.
'Cause nobody's not saying too much.
At this point, I'd have to say no, or provide more information.
Yes, I'd have to say no or provide more information.
Anyone else?
Same.
I also agree that we need to get some more information up to the coordinating board. I mean, all programs have an evaluation component to it.
And they're all required to work on research-based or evidence-based.
Well, then I make a suggestion that they provide more information to the coordinating board so they can
Okay.
make a decision.
Very good.
Okay, leave those two questionable.
Right.
Just as a point of information, are we keeping detailed minutes of our conversation? Will those be distributed to us? Or is this just a conversation that we'll have to remember?
You haven't been taking notes? We were relying on you.
Patty, this is Joanne Engelbrecht. You'll have to remember.
Oh, no, it's all...
We'll have to serve you well.
Or come next time.
Yeah.
I'm taking some notes on, of course, the ones we need to go back to. And we're recording this. We're recording this meeting, so we can go back and listen to it if you...
In your free time.
That's right.
Well, there's just some great language in those first two projects that you described that nailed it for me.
Okay.
That this last one just didn't quite have, but hoping those got down in somebody's notes.
Okay, we'll look at the
Last one.
Texas STEP.
It's Texas statewide tobacco education and prevention program. It's a program designed to prevent youth tobacco usage through education, intervention, and enforcement. I'll read again a statement of services to be performed. Some of them involve sort of routine statistics. So collect statistics from law enforcement officers regarding the enforcement of state law prohibiting retailers from selling tobacco to youth and enforcement of youth possession laws. Assist the comptroller with data administration originating from the enforcement and education activities. Assist the comptroller by performing data analysis and compilation based on various requests. Develop tobacco prevention curriculum, review and assess ongoing grant performance and review and assess grant applications, provide strategies and methodologies, conduct investigative surveillance. So those are the key words that we sort of identified to classify it as research, or at least the deliverables.
Dale, you and Stacy had indicated earlier that programs funded from the tobacco education program were considered research if they had a research component? Is that correct?
Well, I don't think it was a general.
Oh, is it a different?
It wasn't a general definition. That was just the fact that it was tobacco money.
I guess also, too, I think we, and I don't know how close or not the panel will view this one, to a project that was, I think, conducted at UTEP a couple of years ago. Is that right? And so I think it's similar in that respect.
Yeah, it seems we've seen something like this before.
Yeah, and I think we voted it as research at the time.
Was that because of they had so much data collection and analysis in it?
Very much so.
Okay. Does this one come up to 50% data collection and analysis?
We think so.
Okay.
Any other questions on that one? We're going to call this one a yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Texas Tech.
So, Texas Tech?
Right. Okay. Our first one is a MSP program. We've talked about some of those before. We think it falls under item D2. The primary purpose is to develop and test an educational model through appropriate research methodologies, data collection, evaluation, dissemination, and publication. The CFDA number is mixed, but it includes providing the research necessary to inform educational practice. Let me read from the project summary about the intellectual merit of the proposal. The theoretical framework for the project is based on extensive research in self-efficacy theory and case-based learning, and the research questions have far-reaching ramifications. The broader impact talks about model professional development programs and research findings. The research questions that are posed in the proposal: do the proposed project activities increase teachers' deep conceptual knowledge of elementary mathematics? Do the proposed activities increase teachers' mathematics self-efficacy and cultural sensitivity? To what degree do teachers' deeper conceptual knowledge, enhanced self-efficacy, and cultural sensitivity influence teachers' measurable classroom practice? do observable changes in teachers' conceptual knowledge, self-efficacy, and cultural sensitivity, lead to observable changes in students' mathematics achievement and self-efficacy. This project involves a number of teachers. We have a number of subawards on this. Two of the principal investigators are educational researchers. They're involved in this project entirely for the purpose of the research questions. They have identified, they have the teachers who are going through the process. They have also identified a control group, so there's extensive pre-testing and post-testing. They already have a report of their research accepted for presentation at an international meeting and for publication in an international research journal. It's about the research methods that are being used in this project.
It's research.
I think it's research.
Go yes on that one?
Project met the criteria.
Absolutely.
Okay. The second one is it's an archaeology project. It's actually funded by the city of Lubbock, and it was a negotiated kind of arrangement, so we don't have a proposal as such, but I can read you what some of the tasks are, and I asked the principal investigator to give me a description of this project and how it fits into her overall research plan. And so I'll read you just a little bit of that, and I can read more if you like. And so her statement is, investigations in the Yellow House system are part of the Lubbock Lake Landmark Regional Research Program that is designed to provide a broader perspective to regional modeling. The Landmarks Research Program is centered regionally on landscape development and its relationship to the indigenous and non-indigenous human communities. The underlying goal is to understand the dynamics of the interface of culture, landscape, and climate reflected in the detectable record and adaptive responses by various peoples. So
I'd say research.
Okay, we're going to go yes on that one.
Yes.
Okay, the third one, Christine Alvarado. This is a project funded by the USDA. If we could look at the CFDA description there, you'll see that the sole purpose of this program is integrated multifunctional agricultural research, extension, and education activities. And the number one criteria for selecting proposals in this program is, quote, the scientific merit of the proposal. And the number two criteria is the probability that the research will contribute to important discoveries.
Okay, we'll go
Yeah,
yes.
we have quite a few CSREs, and all of ours are classified as research.
Okay.
Go yes on that one.
Okay. The next one, Steve Harris, this project was discussed in 2008, and it was considered to be research at that time, and it's just a mistake that we have reported again.
It's doing pretty much the same thing?
It's doing exactly the same thing. It is
Okay,
really,
go ahead and make that one yes.
Okay. It is the research and evaluation part of a program that's being conducted elsewhere. So, the next one, Mary Saffel. This project was discussed in 2005, and again, it's just a mistake that we reported it again. I've given Dale the discussion notes and...
Make that one a yes.
Okay. The last one is another project involving math and science. We believe it falls under item D2, and that the primary purpose is developing and testing an educational model through, appropriate methodologies. This project focuses on the integration of math and science into graduate programs for teachers. There is an extensive evaluation component of the objective. Let me read. There's an underlying theory of change. There's an appendix to the proposal that talks about this underlying theory that is being implemented through this process. Let me just read here about the evaluation strategy. The overall aim will be to assist the PI to monitor the development and implementation and testing of a new and effective way of creating enriched educational learning experiences and communities for teachers and their students. The program's change-making goals include several key outcomes: the development of the MS2 learning circles and integrated communities within and between institutions, the educational enrichment of teachers and their students through an innovative graduate program of study, the creation of a new curricular approach to math science instruction, and the design of integrated math science curricula. If you look at the budget for this, there is a part of it is devoted to the development of these courses. Primarily, what the funding is for is the support of participants and the evaluation of the program.
Comments on that one?
So is it principally a pilot project that you're evaluating and disseminating?
I think it's development of the idea of integrating math and science into the same courses is a new model, and it's and that's what we're doing, and then we're evaluating that. And there's a lot of information in the proposal about the theoretical model, the theoretical basis that underlies the whole development of the courses and the program.
Other questions?
Throwing it in. I think it's right in the middle of the gray, but I'm tipped to throwing it in.
I can read you some of the outcomes if you like. Outcome 1 is that we're going to increase the number of highly qualified math and science school teachers. Outcome 2 is we're going to have a model for teacher training for math and science teachers. We're going to develop that. Outcome 3 is develop modules that integrate math and science curricula. Then we get down to we're going to model the development of integrated lesson plans, develop a rubric for evaluating lesson plans, blah, blah, blah. There is, like I said, there is an extensive
the most important part of all of those is one of them that said developing the model.
Right.
Right, develop the model.
And I think right now with the STEM area is so important that they are looking for new ways, and it's a big push right now on that kind of educational research.
Okay, let's go yes on this one.
Yeah, I think that's Greater Texas Foundation's push anyway.
I haven't stopped for a break or anything.
We've noticed.
We don't need to stop. I don't think we need to stop and all of us leave, but just take a break on your own, maybe, okay? So we'll just drive on here. It looks like we're going to go into lunch a little bit at this point.
I'm going to say, how many do we lack? Do you know?
We have 8 institutions left, which have about 4 or 5 projects each. So we need to keep moving. I think we could keep going on till 1 o'clock if you guys can make it. There are bagels over there. We're going to pass out.
Got a little land to live off of.
Let's put a big
36.
Which one? What's next?
Okay, University of Houston.
Yeah, have mercy, you guys. We have 14.
Yeah, the first one's research.
You got 14?
Yeah, 14.
Name it to me.
I
Second
didn't
one's
do
research.
it. You guys did it. What did I do?
We must have a title issue like we have. Sometimes it's the title that just is misleading.
Yep, some of it is a title. Okay, the first one, acquisition of core equipment to support the nano-health-related biomedical research in the greater Houston area.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
She went faster.
All right, the next one is,
Yes.
Yes.
Questionable.
thank you. That is questionable or?
No.
Okay.
Questionable.
Oh, the next one's okay too.
Thank you. We'll be done by 1. The patent cartology, that one's okay?
Well, I don't know, is it
Let's hear
mapping
more
and
about
survey?
Yes. This one, patent cartology, let me see where I am. the patent thicket. Patent cartology, improve the process of searching through the patent thicket. This faculty member transferred to us from the University of Michigan in midstream with this project, so I don't have the original proposal information, but I do have the progress summary from it. And what this shows is that, I'll read you from the qualitative study of patent searchers. As described in the proposal, our initial research goal was to understand the tasks and difficulties that patent searchers have when doing comprehensive patent searches using existing patent search systems. We proposed to do that through a qualitative study of patent searchers as they attempt to do real tasks in their office environments.
That's research.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
Research, yes.
Cool. Thank you.
Just getting past the word cartography. We're fine.
Yep. Okay, the next one is economic globalization and mass politics in advanced industrial democracies. This study proposes to be the first to examine the implications of
I
marketing.
think we should just approve that and move on.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Make
All
that
right.
one yes.
Yeah.
Now, the Texas Center for Learning Disabilities Intervention Project, this was reviewed in previous, but I brought the abstract with us. This is to provide support and materials for reading intervention designed to accelerate the reading skills of children in grade 8 who did not respond adequately to grade 6 intervention provided in year 1 and the grade 7 intervention provided in year 2, including students in general education at risk for disabilities and students in special education served for reading problems.
Are you just providing material?
No. Under the objectives, the research will permit the development of instructional methods that will facilitate remediation of reading disabilities in middle school students, an inadequately researched area of great concern to Texas and the nation. It will also provide guidelines for identifying middle school students whose districts decide to adopt the RTI models for learning disability identification in an area that is also inadequately researched.
Yeah, we did this before, right?
Yes, we did this before.
So it's yes, Dale?
Yes.
Make that yes.
Okay.
I think yes.
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 Next one, no, reading first.
Okay, reading first. This is an extension of David Francis's Reading First initiatives, but because the PI has changed on this, Colleen Carlson is a peer of David Francis's, so this project has moved over to her, so I put it back on the list for evaluation. These are broken into projects, and so probably the next 3 are all Reading First projects. And what they are is all different steps in the same project, which are broken apart for financial reporting and progress reporting purposes. So basically, this entire project is the Texas, let me see. The Times will provide technical and professional development assistance as well as evaluation services to the TEA in support of the State of Texas's Reading First grant as outlined in the MOU. The activities for the current year are broken into 4 projects corresponding to 4 different TEA funding streams, 3 of which are the Reading First technical assistance and funds earmarked for LEAs, which provide for the purchase of outcome assessments and purchasing and scoring for funded campuses. This also flows right into the Tejas Lee Development Project, which is next. What they do, they will collect all the outcome data that was done in the previous studies on student achievement on all Reading First funded campuses, including the collection of end-of-year TPRI and Tejas Lee data in kindergarten, SAT 10, Prenda, or ITBS in grades 1 and 2, and Spanish and English TAKS in grade 3. This data will be included in the technical assistance reports as well as the evaluation report and will reflect the data submitted to Times by the campus's TEA or the campus vendor. collection of 4th and 5th grade student achievement data from TEA and all funded campuses, collection of benchmark data on student performance at all RF-funded campuses. Knowledge survey data will be collected from all Reading First campuses for evaluation and professional development purposes. Observation data collection at randomly selected Reading First campuses. Then the evaluation report will include analyses and discussion of student performance, outcome, and benchmark progress at the end of 2009, as well as change. Sorry?
You've convinced?
I've convinced you? Okay. Everybody?
Okay, any questions on those? There's 4 of those, right?
4 of them.
Yeah.
Are you including the Tejas Lee?
The Tejas Lee is the same thing. The Tejas Lee is the tool that's used to do this. And and so that is the further development of that tool that's used in this process.
Okay, so 36, 37, 38, and 40 are yes.
Okay. The International Center for Self...
Yes.
Okay.
39's a yes.
Yes.
439.
Okay. Now, I have to apologize for the Golden Eagle International. Unfortunately, they named this project for the sponsor. The actual name of the project is a proposal to build a rock physics laboratory. And the purpose of this, the Rock Physics Laboratory will play a key role to face challenges in seismic rock physics research and application. It is also an important research to show superior technology and capability has been developed. The lab will provide solid site for cooperated research and projects.
Yes. Or yes on that one?
Yes. Okay. And then the next one is a additional funding for the one that we discussed above for the, where is it? Texas Center for Learning Disabilities. We already
The special ed one?
This is a continuation,
It's a continuation, yes. Now, the last one actually got on this list in error. It's only a $19,000 award, but the file got a little bit weird there at the end. So, but I brought the statement of work anyway. It is for the academic year, research experience for Jillian Robertson. For the period, Jillian Robinson will provide research assistance in connection with the Texas Heart Institute in this project under the Advanced Physiological Monitoring Group, specifically related to...
Those are all yes.
Nancy, that's fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That should be it.
Right. We're on UNT now? Or am I out of order? Okay, let's go to Clear Lake.
Nothing there.
They don't have anything. Okay.
I know. What for you?
Stick around.
So who are we on?
North Texas, University of North Texas.
Okay.
UNT, they've got 3, and the first one is Banerjee.
Yeah, Banerjee. The first one is Banerjee, and the title is just the Institute for Science and Engineering Simulation, but that is a federal contract where we have specific deliverables and research to be done. Let's see. This is a program for the development and application of advanced aircraft characterization, modeling, and simulation techniques to dramatically enhance.
That's research.
Yes on the first one?
Who's making that?
No music.
Techno.
Middle schoolers out to save the world.
Yes, that is a curriculum development project where the Okay, I'm going to keep going. That's a little background entertainment. The objectives are to create a well-defined curriculum model for the particulars of energy consumption modeling. It's a curriculum model to get middle schoolers involved in scientific techniques and approaches to interest them, get them more interested in the STEM careers. And so this is under a productivity-centered service learning, a student empowerment model that values the contributions of students to help solve problems. So the students will be collecting data in their homes of, of the electrical appliances. When you have things plugged in, they're trying to measure the residual electricity that's being used just by things being plugged in but not on. And so they're getting the middle schoolers involved in collecting this data. But it is to develop a new curriculum model that with data collection, and the information will be distributed to energy research laboratories. And it's
I guess I'm confused about the research. Is the research part the evaluation of the model or the collection of the data by
No. Part of it's collection of the data, but the purpose is producing a model-based, data-driven decision support curriculum model that they can implement in the school systems to encourage students to become more interested in the STEM areas.
Do they have an evaluation?
Yeah, here's an objective is to create a new middle school curriculum unit on energy monitoring, to provide increased knowledge of individual and community power consumption as individual skills in data collection, aggregation, and presentation. They're training, part of it's training the teachers in these methodologies for collecting data and research technologies. There's a analyzing data.
Are you putting this into the curriculum development?
Yes.
So you're collecting data, you're evaluating it, you're disseminating it, and you're going to publish it?
That's right. And we'll be implementing those modules in school districts for middle schools.
Other questions on this one?
As long as it meets those 3 criteria for curriculum development project.
Do what?
As long as it meets those 3 criteria for curriculum development, the pilot with a significant research component that's disseminated.
Yes, the 3 components, which are the data collection, evaluation, and dissemination. All 3 are defined there in the scope of work.
Say yes. Want me to?
Let's go yes on that one.
It's research, yes.
Yes.
This is Stacy Silverman. If I could ask those folks who are listening in on the phone to put your phone on mute unless you're talking, that'd be great. Maybe that'll cut down some of our background noise here.
Go yes on an REU.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes on the last one there. So. And UT Arlington should be the next one?
Which one do you want me to start with?
Before we hit UT Arlington, is there anyone here who's got some flight plans or something that gets you out here early in the afternoon? We could get you to go sooner if we need to.
Your manufacturer.
I think we can be through sometime during lunch, but we'll continue now with UT Arlington.
I think we all learned that lesson.
Okay, the Technical Research Assistance Implementation Center. From the CFDA, we are basically developing a demonstration project that has a component to evaluate child welfare. through multiple regional centers. What we do is we have an analysis and evaluation component for implementation projects. There's going to be 12 implementation projects, which are all unique models, and what we will do throughout the 5-year program is evaluate how effective they are, and then communicate that into the national system.
Fitz?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go yes on that one.
Yes.
All right. Now, this is the STEM area for NSF. Again, for our project in particular, we are looking at, one, the training of students in research, but also the evaluation and effectiveness of the program. From our project summary, we will engage candidates in standards-based inquiry teaching, problem-based teaching experiences, action research, curriculum development, and reflective practice, and share those findings, curricula, through professional presentations, implement an evaluation plan that allows us to assess the project's effectiveness, disseminate findings and best practices of this project through research and scholarly publications.
I have a real question about this one, because we've got a Big North Scholarship Award too, and it's a big teacher training award. Most of the money is going to teacher participants. Is yours structured the same way? I mean, we have an evaluation component, but it's...
No, there is significant funding for stipends in this program. But I guess I would say our focus is the teaching of research and actually requiring students to come up with a research project. And I can continue on our program. The project will generate research opportunities for the investigative team and graduate students. Data gathered through project evaluation will provide rich information on the program and its quality. Results of research and evaluation activities will be communicated. The candidates' inquiry-based, problem-based curricula, as well as master's degree candidates' action research projects will be disseminated. And then the evaluation component. I guess what we viewed it in our program was the building these action research programs with the students themselves. That's why we put it under primarily towards research and the evaluation of the program, its effectiveness, and dissemination of the results.
And this is for training the master's level teachers, a public school teacher?
I think that's a requirement of the program, that the students go into teaching. We have one of these too. We have not classified it as research.
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out is how you get one of these classified as research. They're so heavily, stipend-based for teacher training.
I would suggest that some of it depends on what approach you take to the teacher training. If you're training them through creating or taking them into being researchers, that's one way. The other is putting them in a classroom in a chair and lecturing to them. So I think it's the nature of the
But isn't the whole purpose of the program to have secondary teachers?
Can we see the CFDA number, please?
Well, see, that's another issue. This is the generic CFDA for the NSF STEM. So we've got one that's being funded through ARRA, that's the research cluster.
But this one says...
What I'd be interested in looking at is what the specific program guidelines, but I don't suppose we have that.
I did not bring those with me.
We didn't even consider this to be research, and we have one of these as well, because I think 90% of the funding goes to students for their stipends.
Yeah, stipends, tuition, housing.
Yeah, I have the RFP here for the Robert Noy Scholarship. The synopsis is, it seeks to encourage talented science, technology, engineering, and mathematics majors and professionals to become K-12 mathematics and science teachers. The program provides funds to institutions of higher education to support scholarships, stipends, and programs for students who commit to teaching in high-need K-12 schools.
Right, so it's really hard for me to think of that as research.
I would again suggest that rather than looking just at the program, it's the implementation, or it's what's been proposed and awarded. If the activities of getting those people to commit to be teachers are research activities and they're producing research, then it's research. If they're, again, sitting in a classroom, it's different. So again, it's the flexibility under the definition or under the program. If someone at Arlington was wise enough to do it by training these people as researchers, I think that's wonderful, and I think it's research.
But I think all the funding actually goes, to the stipends for the students, and they start in this on their junior year, and so they are taking, right, they're taking classes.
What's the breakdown of the budget again? I'm sorry.
The breakdown, there's salary for the PIs. They're all in STEM areas. And the majority of it is towards stipends.
Are those teachers getting stipends in the summer when they're doing research in the labs with the faculty member, or are they
this
getting
is all
any
for summer salary.
So I think it's looking at the summer activities. It's if they're not getting tuition remission or other things like that.
No, I think you answered a different question, I think. You were asking about what the students are doing, and Jeremy, I think you answered what the faculty salaries are for.
No,
right?
he answered both to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the stipend is for the student year-round.
It says to provide program support and stipends so that teachers can obtain certification and licensing to become successful elementary or secondary teachers, and to provide support for them as they begin teaching and conducting, monitoring, and evaluation activities.
Well, and just back to a discussion we had earlier, is that I think it had to do with the upward bound. They may be getting research techniques, but their ultimate goal is to go be classroom teachers.
Right.
And the project itself is not being evaluated to see how effective your techniques were. And so that kind of makes me wonder what the real purpose is, which is to get teachers into STEM subjects in the classroom.
There is for our program and the method used to conduct this program, it is teaching them research techniques. It is requiring these research action plan projects and the evaluation of the program itself.
I would support Jeremy's request for research funding, because otherwise we're going to have to go back and look, and I would even question the coordinating board's decision to do the LVN-RN funding from the tobacco funds as research, because the ultimate goal is to get more nurses. So I think we need to think about the activities that are going on, and that's what the decision should be based on. The funding, I think that's what the conversations over the years, we've looked at what they're actually doing and where the money's going.
And the budget is only one component of the decision.
Right. And if we're talking about stipends, stipend is kind of an undefined term in many places, and maybe we might consider summer faculty salaries as stipends and then disallow them as well. So I think we're getting on ground that maybe we should all look back at the noise and the CCL, all the ones that we've questioned, and look at what the activities really are.
There's also mention of this program requires an evaluation plan that measures the impact and the effectiveness of the strategies that are come up with on attracting and preparing these people. It's to include a mechanism for tracking, and it really is going to provide new information into the educational area.
Like I said, we have one, so it's...
If that's true, for all the noise, then all the noise should be eligible for research then.
They should all be eligible. That's the point, is they should all be eligible. They may not all qualify. It depends on what you do. We have programs on our campus targeted at the same individuals. Some we put them in classrooms, others we engage them in research activities, hoping that the outcomes will all be positive, and then on a side project evaluating which is more positive.
Right, but we have other projects where the activities are not research projects, but we're considering them as research because the evaluation and dissemination of them is so significant. So I'm just asking for clarification there, so I need to know whether I can go back and drop my noise into research next year.
Well, my understanding, though, of the program is that the students come into it and they have to finish their degree within 2 years, correct? And so you're supporting, they have a stipend that's supporting them to finish their degree during that time. And you may supplement it with some research experiences, but what the students are doing for most of the time they're being supported, I would think, is taking their normal classes so they can graduate. It's pretty challenging. It's a pretty challenging program.
And what our proposal was, for this method to be applied and then evaluated. Still meeting the core requirements for the funding, and it goes towards the stipends of the students to graduate. Again, I mean, our approach is one in teaching them and requiring these action research projects.
So it's a new model for a way to...
I mean, I guess my question is just how much of the actual project is this research experience, and how much is just them finishing their normal coursework?
Did you say, Jeremy, that most of this money was delivered in the summer while they were doing their project?
For the faculty mentors, basically.
Jeremy, here's a question. Could an individual participate in this program with the idea of just getting their degree and not participate in the research? No. So therefore, it's got to be a significant piece. You can't just get your degree.
It doesn't have to be a significant piece. I mean, it could be a required piece, but that doesn't necessarily make it a significant piece.
I suggest that you look at your noise and see what the pieces are.
I guess I will do that, but
Well, I will too, but I'm going to go back and look at it as a model then.
If it's written.
Because the noise, they're all, at least from our perspective, have, they're all model, new approaches that are being evaluated. It's just that we decided to not include it because so much of the money was going to stipend.
Well, I think since they're involved in research projects, then maybe it also flows over into 5 under research of training them too in some techniques as they're learning and expanding to be math and science teachers.
Oh, no, that just bothers me because when I think about R&D techniques, I think about traditional R&D and people going into the classroom.
Yeah, I think we have to determine that there's the fuller scientific knowledge or understanding coming out of it, or the use of knowledge and understanding gained from research toward the production of useful materials, devices, or it has to have the curriculum model exception.
How about if I propose that I just post it, and if you all have the same program, compare it?
Okay.
I think
the coordinating board decide?
Yeah,
I think
go with
that's-
that one. Since
I'm sorry, what was that?
But I would give this to the coordinating board, and hopefully they can disseminate to those that have the same program.
Okay.
And, you all compare and have the coordinating board decide.
That'll be fair.
Very good.
Yes.
All right, we're going to leave that one questionable. Let's go to the next one.
Yes, on research.
We're okay with that one? Yes on the last one there.
yes.
So we'll move on to UT Brownsville. UT Brownsville, are you out there?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna talk about the Frederick Jeanette
Okay.
Award. Okay.
Can you hear me well?
Sure.
Okay.
Very well.
Better than most.
Okay. We consider the BOSS grant, but the Jeanette grant is clearly research because most of the money is dedicated to a student to perform astronomical research in the remote control Arecibo lab here at UT Brownsville. So much that the students have already discovered a pulsar doing research through this grant.
Sounds like
Okay.
a start.
Okay, we'll go yes on that one,
Yes.
and let's move to the next award.
Case like it.
What do you vote? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay.
And we'll...
The next award is the RISE
So is the RISE. I
program.
vote yes on
Hello?
research.
I couldn't hear you well.
We're going to call the second one a yes, too.
Yes.
Yes.
Good job.
Great.
We're done.
Fantastic. Thank you. Before we have two yes. Thank you, sir.
UT El Paso.
Are you all the last one?
No.
No, there's more.
More of us. What are there, 3 more?
I've got 4 more.
4 more.
Doing all right. 12 o'clock.
We can do this really quick.
All right, yeah, we could just say yes to everything.
I hope so, too.
Yeah.
Can you point out the one we've reviewed one of these before?
Yes, the MARC program. See, panel number 3, that's the MARC program, and we reviewed that before.
We've looked at that one before, okay?
Yes,
Mark is
and that
good.
was-
I think we're good with that one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Take it off.
All right. The very first one, I'm sorry, I must have not given you the full CFDA number. It's 97061, and it clearly identifies the Center for Excellence, National Center for Border Security and Immigration as research. And I have documentation here. This is a multidisciplinary.
I would support that one. That's the one, that's the latest research center that, with Arizona, and
Exactly. It
we're a
targets-
partner in that, and I would, it's purely research. There's a small administrative cover, and everything else is supporting individual research projects.
Consensus on that one? Right.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go yes on that one.
Yep.
Great. Kathleen Curtis's Simulation Center for Nursing and Health Sciences, funded by the Paso del Norte Health Foundation. I got an abstract from Kathleen, and she said that it's support to acquire equipment and technology for the state-of-the-art simulation laboratory center. This center will enable UTEP to enhance the quality of our educational and research programs and foster an improved health profile for this U.S.-Mexico border region. Will enable UTEP to reach the next level of excellence and efficiency in health professional education and research. The Simulation Center Laboratory will provide an environment necessary to design and test a number of educational scenarios for clinical training and health professionals. High-tech computer program mannequins can simulate any number of clinical symptoms, and with associated monitors can provide a very realistic clinical scenario. Faculty researchers will design learning modules that incorporate sequenced learning objectives, including simulation learning experiences with graduate complexity of cues and decision-making challenges. Learners will be tested on their ability to attend to contextual cues, sort information, and respond appropriately with appropriate decision-making.
We have funding for a simulation laboratory too, but how much of it is used for just instructional purposes, clinical training versus actual research?
It's definitely a multi-purpose.
This is Stacy Silverman. If we're going to include simulation centers, we probably need to do it across the board. And it's my understanding, having visited a few of these, that they're actually areas that you go and you practice to learn how to do something to a patient so that you don't, in fact, hurt the real live patient.
Which doesn't sound like...
I would vote no.
Yeah, and the simulation lab also, or further, provides that we have to basically redesign our curriculum as well to make it work.
I'll vote no.
I would vote no also.
I'd vote no.
Okay, is that a consensus there? No? Let's go no on that one. Move to Maria Gonzalez.
Right.
Mariah?
This one is from the Atlantic Philanthropies. It's a proposal to conduct a thorough case study of the implementation of 5 middle schools providing New Mexico integrated services in school initiatives. Have a planning meeting of the core staff and validation consultants. These meetings will clarify aspects of the study, identify training needs to the case study associates who will be on site, identify a change model to use in charting the growth of each school, finalize data gathering needs, procedures, and collection forms, and do an in-depth study of the barriers and provide solutions on those barriers, and then share the outcomes in those schools on nationwide.
Okay, I'd say yes.
Any questions on that one?
I'm sort of thinking, where does it fit in the definition? Are you putting it in? Are you putting it in the? You're putting it in as supporting R&D for faculty?
What does the budget look like?
It is mostly for the research staff to go on site into these schools to do the data collection and setting up of the models. I would say it's 80% staff and faculty salaries.
Is there curriculum development?
I think that's the final outcome, but it's not been specified by the funding agency. They just want to figure out the barriers. Here's the whole proposal. As to
It sounds like research.
It kind of helped putting it in that category 1 for me, too. If they're going out to collect original data, that's what researchers do. If we have just taken it out of the next part of curriculum development by saying we're not going to be developing curriculum.
no, I don't know that. I think it's a natural byproduct.
But it's not explicit.
It's not a part of this project.
It's not stated.
Yeah, this could be the prelude to the next phase.
I'm tempted to think it's an award to university faculty to support R&D.
I agree.
Anyone not agree? Other questions on this one? Okay, we're going to go with yes on that one. And the next one?
The next one is, which one do you have?
Manufacturing.
Same. Okay. That one is with the CFDA, it is not clearly identified as a research project, but it's, according to the abstract and the statements made by the PI, and the intent and the purpose, is to investigate a great, in response to the challenge posed by the globalization trend of the U.S. manufacturing industry. This project is designed to integrate biomanufacturing lab courses using an information technology-based, real-world problem-solving focused educational strategy into engineering curriculum, particularly in the professional manufacturing engineering master's degree program. To date, the science and biotechnology is likely to be the first promising field in the first half of the 21st century. There are a number of challenges facing the biomanufacturing from industrial perspective. First, biomanufacturing is a complex and technology-concentrated process. Therefore, it requires a very specialized and experienced workforce. Secondly, upgrading traditional manufacturing education to biomanufacturing education is extremely expensive given the huge upfront investment of specialized equipment. UTEP has invested a great amount in developing an advanced manufacturing research facility called the Keck Center for 3D Innovation. The center focuses on biomedical engineering manufacturing application. In this project, we will formulate 2 geographically separate virtual teams between UTEP and Arizona State, collaborating on a biomanufacturing project over the internet. A realistic visual representation of remote laboratory will be developed along with the integration of an intelligent rapid prototype simulator and an e-based tutor system to provide necessary information to the remote user. implementing a mixed method of research design. Student and faculty involved in the projects will be assessed in formative and summative formats to measure the efficiency of the project. The project is aimed to overcome the current limitation in an online biomanufacturing laboratory education in order to support professional manufacturing engineering master's degree program in both schools. Successful completion of...
Is there an anthropologist or a sociologist involved in the project?
It's a development.
It's led by mechanical engineering.
R&D, second part of
It
R&D.
sounds like just an engineering education project.
Yeah, with a small evaluation component, as we talked before.
It's just,
Sponsored.
the outcome seems to just be a training program at these two institutions. It doesn't seem to go beyond that.
Are you trying, can you just tell me, are you trying to link it to the 2A curriculum model, or which one of these are you linking it to?
Both the 5 and the...
Did you actually have the development of a model?
I beg your pardon?
Did you have the development of a model in what you were reading?
No.
Hear it.
The model actually exists. NSF-funded research has created that model, and they're implementing it in a different, or they're testing it in a different environment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think what,
Okay.
just to sort of go around what I'm hearing, is we're trying to think of what's new.
Well, do you
and
think
that will help us understand where it fits. What's the novel piece here?
They're going to create a virtual environment for 3D innovations.
Does this tie in with your ETF award?
No.
And I did hear you mention the development of a prototype.
Right.
So that is part of the development.
Yeah, I'm trying to look for the second part of R&D, the D part. And I forgot your name, Texas Tech over there. I'm following what you're saying too. Is there something new here, or is there not something new here? And that's what that's what you're going to shake out for us.
But even if there is something new, is it going to go beyond just this, this program? I mean, is it something that anybody else would be adopting? I didn't hear anything about any dissemination.
Okay, support professional manufacturing engineering master's degree programs in both schools.
Yeah.
Now, I agree. I think that if it's not going or rising to the level of a pilot program that's going to be evaluated using research methodologies and disseminated, then it doesn't rise to the level of research.
So the model is one that was already developed?
I don't think
Not for them. I just know the model already exists. It was developed by the University of Michigan. Or, I'm sorry, Michigan State.
Here's knowledge I don't have.
I don't think I have...
It applied in a different area. It wasn't specifically for bioengineering and biomanufacturing. And it was very early stage advanced materials in manufacturing.
Can you show me the CFDA and the intention of the program?
Yeah, the 84116, it's not indicative of research.
That's innovation.
Well, it is innovation.
To their credit, I'd say it's innovation in learning environments. It's not the first time it's ever been done, but it's new. It's not done on a regular basis.
Actually, that seems to be moving beyond the criteria.
Research. What's
Yeah,
that?
I think it's not. That's moving beyond the criteria.
It's the last sentence says funded projects are action-oriented, focusing on improvements in practice rather than supporting basic research. kind of.
Sounds like we're tipping to no, Dale.
Other comments on this one?
Yeah, it doesn't sound, that last sentence.
Yeah, it's
a little
pretty
bit
clear on
vague.
what the intention is.
So I think our consensus here is no, mark that one as a no.
No.
Sorry.
You were supposed to say yes, so we can go to lunch. All right.
Thank you. You've set us up well for the next one.
Yes.
No, you've got the last one, Miller.
And the Kate C. Miller
Oh,
Award.
that one is easy. This one, administratively convoluted. The original PI that got awarded the research project on this went to Cornell and took the grant with them, awarded us back a certain amount of the subcontract, and then awarded Virginia Tech their collaborative part. Virginia Tech couldn't do the drilling and blasting, so they sent it back to us. It's a portion of the whole project, okay, but anyway, when I asked for detail on what that meant, I got Geology Lesson 101. Okay, the University of Pennsylvania.
Then you've already tipped us. If you really had to do that, it is a real testing of some, I don't know what, batholithus.
All I know is somewhere up there.
Yeah. Sounds pretty technical to me.
Yeah, grants on the, okay, let's see. Sub-award from Virginia Tech is made under Prime NSF Award EAR 0715218, which is collaborative research project involving Cornell, Virginia Tech, and
The CFDA says that it's to strengthen and enhance national scientific enterprise through the expansion of fundamental knowledge and increased understanding of the...
Research.
As
Yeah,
long
it's a research 50A.
as long as what you really have is a subcontract on that, or a subaward on that, I seem to have to be. I mean, the only thing is if you have a vendor relationship, just because you're, the title of the thing is, says management of drilling operations,
that
which
was
doesn't
it.
sound...
That was a difficult because of the title.
that's exactly what I kind of...
So we go yes on that one?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
And the title is what slowed
The
it.
title.
And now UT San Antonio.
Nomenclature.
Good afternoon, colleagues.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm looking at the first one with Dr. Teal. It's an R01, and I can read the abstract, but I can't pronounce half the words.
Can we just say,
It's an R01. It's an R01. It's an R01. It's research.
We don't need
Okay,
any
go to
more
the
than
second one.
R01.
Okay, the second one is tell the whole world it's an earmark. Let me read you the proposal real quick. This is being run out of the UTSA Mexico Center, which was officially established in the early part of 06, which promotes greater knowledge and understanding of Mexico and the U.S.-Mexico relations. It is an umbrella organization that connects existing Mexico-related enterprise within UTSA through cross-disciplinary collaboration on research projects and activities. The Mexico Center focuses its attention on 4 major research topics and programs which cover a wide range of issues relevant to the U.S.-Mexico relations. These topics and programs are research on economic development and global entrepreneurship, transnational family research, binational collaboration with academic institutions in Mexico to fund and develop research projects in topics relevant to U.S.-Mexico relations and study abroad programs. That's taken right out of the proposal.
Yes.
They do have a pretty big IRB project going on, and they're going to publish the results of that study.
Okay, we'll go yes on that one. Go to the next award.
Okay, the next one, we look at this one every year, folks. Every year, you guys say yes, research. So let me just give you a brief.
how are we looking at it again if we said yes every year?
I don't know.
Which one is it?
Yeah,
it's over 250.
Which one is
Question
it?
by someone who wasn't here for our other discussion.
Which one is it,
It's
Dale?
the state demographer.
Yeah, that's
The
a
last
It's a
yes.
state demographer, yes, and a lot of this work is done for the Texas legislature, and he has produced reports and written some papers off this work.
It's been yes, it will be
yes.
yes. You don't
Peer
need to
reviewed
list
journals
them.
and books.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we did decide that it wasn't just data collection.
Correct.
That's correct. There's a lot of analysis, and we give the Texas legislature the data they want, but we also analyze and publish that data.
That's fine.
Thanks, Nellie.
Peer-reviewed journals.
Thanks, Nellie. We'll move to UT Permian Basin.
Oh, yay. It's been a long morning.
That one research too, the first one?
It's the only one we've got up there. Yes, it is research. The title is misleading, and my voice is gone from listening. This is actually a flow-through subcontract from the Department of Energy. It's a research project to gather data which will suggest the origins and distribution of the residual oil zones in the Permian Basin, specifically in the area from recharge to choke point. It includes the development of a methodology template, including a hydrogeological computer model to determine the presence and distribution of residual oil zones and other fairways within the Permian Basin, and which can be extended to other regions of the United States to assist with predicting the occurrence and distribution of residual oil zones.
Sounds good.
Researchers are going to be publishing this.
We'll go yes on that one.
Don't say any more, you might take it out.
Okay, and technical articles for the American Association of Petroleum Geologists and the Society of Petroleum Engineers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And one last institution here, UT Pan American.
Three of these have all been, the first three have all been evaluated in the past and determined research. The first is TMAC, and I will bow to Arlington, as we're a subcontract.
But we've put the manufacturing thing in every year for years, so.
So it's research, Jose Pagan, economics. This is the third of 3 years. It is a center. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's the one, that's through CDC, and that's the wrong CFDA, but it is an appropriation or an earmark, and it's building our South Texas Center for Health Disparities Research, and significant amounts, probably 70% of the funding, goes directly to faculty submitted research projects for vetting, and then support some of the research in the center itself. It was voted research last year.
Okay.
The third one is the third year of a 3-year project. It was voted research last year. And
Okay, yes on the first three, and let's do the last one.
This is a CCLI. The purpose of the project is to investigate the use of simulation-based active learning tools in the education of engineers in the application of quality principles within a manufacturing system. The research will extend, implement, and assess a prototype simulation-based active learning tool to improve instruction and statistical quality principles. 8 test sites will be implemented to assess, evaluate, and improve the application of the proposed approach and tools. Successful deployment will represent a large step in narrowing the application of quality principles, competency gap described above. The execution of the investigation could have significant impact on the field of quality engineering education as well as U.S. manufacturing.
Okay, I think we're going to call that one a yes?
Yes. Thank you.
That's agenda item 1.
Okay, great. 3.5 hours.
Start reading, you don't like that.
Yeah, we were all like, yeah.
Agenda item 2, sample review of research expenditures for small awards.
I didn't.
I don't have any written materials to give you. If you're out there on the phone, in your browsers, if you look at a full set of awards for 2009. So for institution, you're gonna select all. For the filter, you're gonna select no filter. And for the year 2009. And like I said, I don't have any written materials to give you, but we're just gonna look at certain ID numbers, okay? So in our browser, we're gonna go up to the edit menu, and we're gonna select edit, find, and we're going to first look at ID 11250. And what we're doing here, there's nothing that says you can't have these awards sitting on this list. The perception is that you're going to turn around later in the fall and claim any expenditures from this as research expenditures. That's the perception you give when an award like this lands on the list. And of course that's a no-no. If this one is not a research grant, we know because we administer it. It's for recruiting. It's for giving students that'll
happen.
What do you say? How do you call it? It's for pizza.
Not a pizza, hey,
no, we don't.
No,
Okay, it's not for pizza, but
it's actually to provide summer programs for math for middle and high school students.
So it's cultural top.
It's a recruitment.
Okay.
But we know
not
this
research.
one's not research.
It's not research, okay.
So if you're an institution and you see this award on someone else's list, you're thinking, well, they're getting away with something. But it's just because it's on this list doesn't mean you can claim the expenditure from it. We only review the ones that are 250 and above.
But that's going to change.
But will you notify Texarkana? They're not with us?
Right.
Well, but what you said, Dale, is that you can't report it, but in fact, they are reporting it, right? I mean, it should not be reported, but it is being reported.
For the ones above 250,000, they go through this review, so we know.
So the ones that are less, is the coordinating board going to identify those and call people and tell them to remove them so they can't count the research expenditures?
No.
That has not been the process.
Okay.
You guys need to know that.
The 200,
and this is why
the awards that are 250,000 and above that we review, that's the example.
And I believe before it was determined that would then cover 75% of what the research expenditures were by looking at those awards over 250,000. So while there are some like this that may get counted because it wasn't reviewed, that's always been the case.
Right, but if we do look at them and know that they aren't, is someone going to tell them that, because they may have been put on inadvertently?
Right, you're absolutely right. They could get a change of, administration could come, new administrators could come in and not understand the process and mistakenly put this out there. We understand that. And yes, we'll make every effort to identify the ones that are glaring to us. But at this point, the way the process is set up, it's not such that you can go in and easily say, hey, because this doesn't match, it doesn't meet the threshold, you have to take it off. So this is an opportunity for you to take a look at what we're going to be looking at next time around. Because, and I can lead into you want to do one more or a couple more?
I was going to do a bunch more, but
we don't need to do a bunch more, but maybe one or two more.
Well, I think we need to say that this is a good faith effort on everybody's part, and we come to this meeting so that we can help remind ourselves every year what kinds of things you should consider and remember that. So I think it's our due diligence to go back after we have this meeting and to do your own review of those that are under the 250,000. So in case you learned information here that changes your mind. But we can't look at every single one of them.
Dale's probably got some other examples, but I was looking at last year's, and I saw that one institution, it's probably a mistake, but they reported all of their ARP.
Oh, and that clearly is
just clearly, yeah.
It may have been a mistake. They just went through and pulled everything that was tagged research without looking.
Right.
I think in a lot of cases that's actually a strategy so you don't miss anything.
Right, and then when you add it up, I mean, each one of them, maybe not so much, but then when you add it up, it becomes a significant amount of money.
Right, well, and you have to tag it research to do the comprehensive research report, but you just have to back it out of this one.
That's right. Well, I'm interested to hear the new ideas on how to address this.
Sure.
Okay, so let's look at a few more numbers. 11,264.
Could it be one of them?
Oh, one of mine.
That's an ARP grant. That's an ARP grant or NHARP grant. Kind of in disguise.
So that would not come to our attention. We wouldn't look at it normally. And it's, you could say, well, it's only $30,000.
Well,
Is
would
the
you
issue,
look at any?
That adds up.
because of the source of the money, or the
ARP?
Or the
That's ARP.
It's appropriated.
appropriated money cannot be considered as.
Right.
No, and it will be removed. I'm making a note now.
You're not the one I was talking about.
Well, it's University of North Texas is the one.
If you don't know,
Can you repeat the number, please?
11,264.
Okay, thanks.
And just so you know, there's nothing that we're going to do this time around. This stuff doesn't count. But you need to know that next time around, it counts. So we're just giving you the heads up.
Now, if you don't know,
Like council,
if you've got an award there and you don't know the source of the money, if it's from the state, you don't know the source,
will not count.
got to get with your chief financial officer and defer to them, because they kind of run the show as far as reporting the bucks.
Well, I know for our ARP programs, they have a completely different account series because they are state appropriated numbers. So should be very easy in our query not to pull this one. I'll have to go back and check that.
This is Tammy in Galveston. Ours are not in the restricted range. So our ARPs start with a 1 and our restricted start with a 4.
That was what I was saying. That's exactly how it is at UNT.
I'm thinking it's pretty obvious at most institutions. When the financial officers go to pull this out.
No, not always.
It depends.
Well, that's why we're having this discussion. It's always a good time to go back and look.
And I've got more examples here of ones that we wouldn't allow. I've got a list of ones that are questionable. They kind of look the same as the ones that are 250 and above, though. So, and if we had more time, I'd go rifle through a few of them. And
Dale?
Yeah.
Would you consider just sending us a list of those numbers? So
Okay.
we can look at them?
Yeah, we'll do that.
That'd be great.
And that'll move us on. We'll go to agenda item number 3.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you, everyone. I know everybody's getting really tired. I'll try and make this as quick as possible, and I've given out a handout, and we'll make sure that the folks who are listening online can access this information as well. We can just probably email it out to you.
I sent some attachments yesterday morning.
All right, so if you guys can open up what is agenda item 3, chapter 13, financial planning. This is our revision to the current rules related to the Research Development Fund. I'm going to walk you through it a little bit, but in the recognition that we have a limited amount of time, you're welcome to take a look and look through it. These have been posted in the Texas Register, and our board will be acting on them at their July 29th meeting. Most notably, we have removed some language toward the end related to the reporting and the review process.
Which page are you referring to?
We'll just walk through. The purpose, we've changed the purpose a little bit. Authority, we've changed that. Yes?
Last time, last Friday, I walked out, you were going to buy me one glass of wine, but I let you buy me 2.
Folks, we can hear you, so you might want to put your phone on mute. Okay, moving on.
Can we go?
All right, so in essence, in recognition of the change of the name of the Advanced Research Program, we've changed that to reflect Norm Hackerman. When it says the board, we've gone ahead and put in the coordinating board. We've looked at you flip to, I'm trying to find the part, next time around, and I can't find where it is, but the next time around, we will look at all awards. So everything, not just those 250,000 and above. We're looking at them all. We'll place them all on the list. Maybe the list is twice as big as it was. We'll have lunch brought in, and then you can look at them. The idea is we want this to be a transparent process. We want everybody to know about it. We want everyone to report in the same method, report uniformly, and especially given the passage of House Bill 51 and the race that is now on with our emerging research institutions, this becomes a little bit more important because your research funding will then allow you to qualify for some other funding down the road.
For those institutions
For
on
those
the list.
institutions, yes, the 7 emerging research institutions. So, we've also suggested that we delete the portion of the rules related to the rather cumbersome audit procedure that was never implemented. So we got rid of it.
Thank you.
Where about are you?
Thank you.
Yeah,
They can
it's
release that money, right?
Yes.
About the 1%.
Yes, it is. It's everything, page 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10. We've left in there, the commissioner may require an audit of the restricted research awards of an eligible institution to verify submitted information. Additionally, we're going to require that you all do an in-house audit so that you're auditing your own, you've spent the money the way you say you spend the money. You have to do it anyway, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and that is?
What number is that?
You'd think I'd know by now.
When you say that, do you mean like a formal audit with our auditors? Or do you mean just a review?
Let's see what it says.
What does it say?
Me too, I'm trying to find it.
I looked for it this morning, I never could find
Maybe we left it out.
it. Because I printed it off from the coordinating board agenda and read the summary, and I couldn't find that.
So we did make every effort to try and streamline and allow you all the greatest flexibility possible, and to make some clarification and definitions as well.
That's on page 10 at the top.
May require. Oh, right, again, the commissioner may require. That's it.
Right, it just says may require, okay.
Right.
So are you saying there's not going to be anything in these rules, but that the commissioner will require an internal audit? Is that what you're saying?
May require. So down the road,
Okay.
we can go back and revisit it if we need to.
Okay. In the...
But that is not
That's
not internal.
Now, that doesn't sound like an internal audit, though.
Well, Stacy, in the background information on the coordinating board agenda,
Right.
there's a statement in there that says each institution receiving research development funds would be required to audit the classified awards to ensure that restricted research awards and related expenditures were properly classified.
Good. Where'd you find that?
It's on our
not
blue
on there.
page. What's going before the board? So it's got to be somehow in here.
Right, that's a question, because if it goes out that way, that could be interpreted by some institutions that their internal auditor needs to be involved, or do you just want us to do an annual review and due diligence?
Right. We want you to do an annual review and due diligence. We
Okay,
want you to
great.
know what you're reporting and reporting uniformly across the board. That's what we want.
I have a question.
Yes?
About what something means.
Okay.
Well, now I've lost it. Page 6, at the bottom of Number 2 highlighted, if the project or activity is pursuant to an award from the federal government, it shall be classified by the federal government as R&D. What do you mean by that? Are you saying that the CFDA has to say it's research? Because we have several that have research components, but their CFDAs don't say they're research. So what does that mean?
I think it shall be that it needs to be classified as R&D.
So any federal award is classified as R&D, and we have a lot of difficulty here with the U.S. Department of Education. We had a little with NSF, but usually we tip that to research.
Right.
Well, so how is this going to change where unless the CFDA is research specific, you can't call it R&D?
I don't know if it means what it says, but I kind of like that if anything's a federal agency award, we just put it in research and we don't have to deal with it. But is that what this means?
I don't think that's what that says.
I think that's what it says.
That's what it says, if you take it literally.
And actually, that puts, if the goal is to put Texas in a better light, our reporting of ourselves would be much better because many of us have other projects that aren't classified as
Yeah.
research that may be more than 50% of our funds from the federal government.
Yeah, a lot of funding will come from the federal government, but most of the awards will not. And what this does is it takes away a significant part of the discussion we had this morning, actually.
Yes. Like the Project Safe Neighborhood and COPS grants, that would all be research?
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
right.
so.
Anything that comes from the federal government would be research?
I don't think that's the
Yeah,
intent.
I don't think that's the intent.
I think the intent is if it's classified by the federal government as research, then it's
It's automatically research. But that we have some others that could be research.
Right.
That aren't, okay. I didn't know if it was mutually exclusive or not.
No, if the federal government says it's research, we say it's research.
That's the...
Yes.
Okay, so the Noise Scholarship Program
Are you going to
I have
adjust the words?
through the research ARRA, CFDA is now research?
So the federal government... Sure, we can make an adjustment. We'll...
Clarify?
Yeah.
But you still get into the mixed purpose CFDAs, and if the CFDA's mixed purpose, you still have to prove the 50% research rule.
All right.
Right.
But if the CFDA is specific, we're done, right?
If the CFD calls it research, it certainly helps you document and defend your case for it being research.
Okay. I was just wondering how to do this. It shall be classified, so.
It should be classified. It will be classified.
I don't see how this is going to work.
It's not going to be different, is it?
Oh, no, I mean, the NSF CFDA that we brought up, it was, for, part of the allowable expenses was for the conduct of research. So what does that mean?
Well, you go to the 50% rule.
No, I mean, how do we say that the federal government classified it as research?
Well, if the
intention of the program.
Research, it's research.
But
If it's like a major
some
research
programs have
It's a whole other layer of subjectivity on just the CFDA number. Is it research or not? And then we say it is, okay, that's great, then we can just blanket everything to,
No, I think it's still leading towards the CFDA, the RFP, any documentation that the federal government provides. If you clearly see their intention when they were soliciting is research, then they only reviewed positively those projects that met that research expectation.
Well, maybe it just needs clarification that just says, for example, research intent in the RFA, the CFDA,
again, I just view that as a whole other layer of subjectivity on the federal level. And then we're still going to go down into the details of what are you actually doing for your program.
Yeah, actually,
what we do.
Right. Let me make some clarification related to this. This language was taken right out of the accountability from the standard accounting methods, which says it must be consistent with federal classification of research. Awards classified by the federal government as R&D shall be classified as R&D. So that's what needs to be said here.
Well, maybe that's what that needs to say then.
Right.
Okay.
That's
Thank
just
you.
really a technical clarification, and what we were trying to do was incorporate the standard and accounting methods into our rules to give them a little strength, because I'm of the opinion after we revise these rules, we're going to revise the standard accounting method so that we don't have to say it's AIII, or it's, we can clearly show which of the standards that it falls under for any research project. Additionally, included in the next review of these research projects will be a requirement for any of those who are questionable projects, who get that term questionable, to go out and put, once we have revised standards in accounting that are clear, and say this is A1. The justification is whatever it is. So that will give you some ability to go and negotiate with your project investigators and say, I need some justification for this. Is it really research? And if so, tell me how out of this choice set it fits into real research. Okay? Does that help? We're trying to clarify, and we're trying to be as transparent as possible. The other hope is that I will no longer get institution officials coming to me saying, so-and-so doesn't report correctly. They're adding, so it will do away with that. It will add a level of fairness and uniformity. That's what we're going to try and do. Good luck with that, right? Good luck. Hey, I've only been here a year in this position, so it's only my second meeting. I can still be optimistic. So thank you. I'm glad.
Stacy, I have a question about the bottom of page 8.
Sure.
It's the very last thing, the item 5 there, about how institutions are going to provide a final report of restricted research expenditures. Will include a description of research expenditures, including expenditures of funds received during the preceding fiscal years. Are we talking about something more than what we're doing now, which is just a number? I mean, is this going to be what kind of report do you envision here?
Again, I believe we went back to the method of accounting, the standard accounting methodology, and pulled language to put into our rules. So the idea is not to make you change and do more reporting than you're already doing, but when you do report that, to make sure that you can drill down and know what it is that you've reported, if that makes sense.
So the change for this year, when we sent our awards in, it was only new awards, and that was different. Last year, we listed any award we had gotten in that fiscal year that we would have expenditures from. This year, we were asked to only send those that were new and had not been reviewed last year. So I think that's a way to just say that even though we didn't review them as new, they're continuations from previous years, and those expenditures can count too.
Absolutely. But you don't have to put them out there.
You don't have to review the award again once it's been agreed to.
Once it's been reviewed.
And I'm still unclear about what the audit requirements are.
Are you talking about page 8 at the very bottom, item 5, corrections from audits? Is that what you're talking about?
Right.
Well, actually, I was talking about what was the item that with the background information from the coordinating board agenda. Says each institution has to audit. So, but I don't see exactly where that
language. It came from this document, I believe.
This document being the Chapter 13?
No, the standards and accounting methods.
Okay, well, the implication here is that there's going to be a change in the audit requirements.
The implication is the change in rules. So we've taken the language from the standard accounting methods and placed them in rule, as opposed to leaving them out there in the standard accounting methods. Does that make sense?
The first big change I'm seeing is that we're going to review all projects, not just those above 250K.
Correct.
I'm not sure if there's another, other than a lot of this strikeout stuff, which we didn't do anyway on audit,
Right.
I don't know that I'm still not sure if there's another change. We're supposed to do our own internal audit in our offices to
Right.
review in our offices to be
But
sure
that's
we...
the only change that we ever intended.
Okay.
So if there's an unintended change,
We should talk about
we
it.
should let me know about it. Let us know. We'll try and change it back. But the only thing we were trying to do was allow us to review everything. Greater transparency.
Well, the other change was in the audit. I mean, there
And
used to be
get
this
rid of the
1%.
Yeah.
Okay.
We no longer have to reserve 1%.
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
Because we weren't doing it anyway, so you just...
Yes.
Okay.
You just had to spend it, or got to spend it at the end of the year.
Right.
I do think... I'm going to... Is it Kathleen?
Yes.
It's Kathleen. I do think we should be sure we know what number 5 does mean, that because a year from now, we could have another interpretation.
So, okay, where are you?
Page 8, bottom of the page.
Okay, yes.
Because I think you were talking to that a little bit ago, and I don't know where it ended up. Do you?
What ended up was we didn't have to do any different reporting than what we're currently doing.
So the last line, the last sentence,
Right.
beginning with including, could almost be deleted.
Except I think that's actually in your statute. The December 1st reporting.
Okay.
So that's basically saying that the research expenditure report is going to include expenditures from prior projects that we're still spending out of that were approved.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
Got it.
Right.
Which is why the two don't match.
Didn't match.
Right.
Even though we did that, it wasn't clearly stated.
Right. We really are trying to streamline and clarify and simplify. I need it simple. All right. So that will go to our board in October. We're already getting ready for our October board meeting, but our next real board meeting is July 29th. So on my mind is
So this will go on July 29th or
July 29th, yes. They're out posted on the Texas Register, and they were posted on May 5th, May 8th, something.
And the deadline for comment is passed.
It has already passed.
You didn't show it to us before that because only...
Hey, it was posted on the Texas Register.
Exactly,
You guys
right, yeah.
You have plenty of opportunity to get out there and look. I know it. Right. No, that's why I'm bringing it to your attention, because I really do want your input. So, again, that transparency. All right, and my final agenda item, unless there are other questions about the rules revisions, and hopefully the rules revisions are a positive thing, given that the audit issue has been dealt with. I'm glad about it.
I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you. Is it going to the October board meeting or the July board meeting?
The July board meeting. July.
Thank you.
All right, finally, I want to talk a little bit about the requirements of the passage of the National Research University legislation, what was House Bill 51 this session, related to the study of research expenditures definitions. You all have a comparison of definitions about research and development in front of you.
Stacey, I want to ask a question about this. Our question is whether that should be appropriately discussed in this forum, because only 9 institutions are involved in that. And as I read the House Bill 51, it says in consultation with the students, with the institutions of higher education that are eligible institutions.
Right. This is related to the study that we're going to do. And because the study we're going to do, we want it uniform across the board. So House Bill 51 does several things. It does about 6 things, at least. It creates 4 new funding streams. Some are only for emerging or existing research institutions. One is solely for non-emerging or just general academic institutions, whatever the preferred term is. And the others some require a constitutional passage to allow for funding. And also it requires the appointment of an interim select committee to study research. And it also requires the coordinating board to do a study of research expenditures. And the study of research expenditures, which will help influence the Research University Development Fund.
Right, but it says it's to be in consultation with the institutions that are eligible, so.
Sure, absolutely. But in that regard, because you all report, we want to make it as transparent and uniform as possible as well, so that we don't ask you all, well, you are one of them, so you're serving both hats.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, most of the people, or many people here don't need to be concerned specifically with this particular thing. And there is someone here from UT. I wasn't sure there even would be from UT and A&M,
yes,
who are major players in the RUDF.
Right, and they were invited for that specific reason. For that. So what we want to make sure happens is that we all define research the same way.
Okay.
That's all. And that's why this information is being given out to this group. So we can talk a little bit more about some of these programs. One other thing I'd like to mention is that for the emerging and existing research institutions, they will be required to submit a long-term strategic plan on research to the coordinating board. The guidelines are being developed right now, and once the rules are posted out to the Texas Register, those guidelines will be available for everyone to take a look at as well. They'll be sent out to the emerging and existing research institutions. That's it. Any research questions burning for anyone?
Well, thanks and congrats on a very successful first meeting.
Thank you. Sorry we went long. We'll modify for future reference. And probably next time around we'll go even longer, but we'll try and get you a little bit more preparation so that you can quickly remember why something was research or not. Okay? I really appreciate you all coming here, and I appreciate your input. And we may be calling on some of you to serve as, help us in our future studies that we're doing and that kind of thing. So I appreciate your future work as well. Thank you all, and if you haven't gotten a bagel, please do so on your way out.
Somebody said
Absolutely.
about the new bride.